We know many of you are just turning on at the top of the hour, 6 o'clock East Coast time. Welcome. We're taking you all the way live to the checkered flag and beyond with a half-an-hour post-race show from the 80th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We've got a race on our hands, and it started with Audi 1-2. It's still Audi 1-2, and Andre Lotterer, the pole man, just got away. He put his foot down and got a nice, clean, clear start.
Bergmeister had problems coming into Indianapolis, had to be towed out of the gravel trap. Was not the smoothest run for the number 80 car.
This was a great scrap going on early between, and you see right there, as the Aston gets loose, the Corvette pounces.
Yeah, Tommy Milner said thank you. Then dramas for Tom Christensen, which would turn out to be a massive chunk of rubber caught in the suspension.
On the right-hand side.
Further around, we see the other Lizard car, Seth Nyman this time. I believe there may have been a fluid leak on this Flying Lizard car, may have caught out Romain Dumas, and then the big one. Anthony Davidson coming down into Mulsanne, gets clipped by the Ferrari. Goes through one heck of a ride, Dorsey.
That was a huge impact, too. Watch again and get the idea of how hard these two cars make impact with this wall. And of course, for Anthony Davidson, a couple of cracked vertebrae.
Anthony spends the night in hospital and may be released tomorrow, Monday. And that caused a 1 hour, 11-minute full course caution, which then they say cautions breed cautions. Well, cautions also breed crashes. And that was Nakajima hip checking Motoyama. And that put an end to the Delta Wings day. It was the beginning, Cal, of problems, more problems for Toyota.
Yeah, I don't think that was related to the crash. They just had other driveline issues. This was a big moment for the Corvette that was leading.
No wheel nut.
Mechanic made a little mistake there. Dorsey left the wheel nut off, which is a big mistake. And then Richard Westbrook went out on the track and then had to drag that Corvette back. Literally just created further issues.
This was Nick Manassian getting airborne not once but twice and doing a really nice job to keep it out of the tyre barrier.
Save the car, maybe his ride for next year.
This was a pivotal moment of the race. Marcel Fassler, while leading in the number 1 Audi, spins in the Porsche curves, and this nearly almost doesn't happen. He gets away with it with an undamaged car, all bar a little scrape.
And you don't do that. This didn't work out very well on the Porsche curves.
Pro Speed Porsche there going in backwards. Heavy impact and created a lengthy delay whilst the car was brought back in and the barriers were fixed.
Yeah, just under a 40-minute full course yellow. And the wild scenes here with the Ferrari sideways trying to gather it up. Brian Vickers with a massive fire. He drove it to pit lane but pulled it up right alongside a fire marshal and was able to put an end to that situation.
That was a close one.
Very close indeed. Look how close he gets to the tire barrier here. Woo!
It just does scrape it.
Overall leading car and the class leading car in GTE AM. And then that brings us together with these two Audis up front going at it. The two silver hybrids. This has been quite the fight.
Wow, look at that. That is the ultimate fight there as the two car pushes the one car so deep into the first chicane. He goes for a ride. The two cars soon to the lead. Then we just saw this. Benoit Trullier coming into the pit lane, just try to get a vital few tenths back on Alain McNish, locks it up and turns it around, but no damage to the race car.
Back live aboard the 73. What do those last few shots on that highlight reel show you? Mistake car number 1, mistake car number 1, mistake car number 1. The pressure is on.
The pressure is on, but I tell you what, they have one phenomenal driver who's going to finish this race off, as Jamie told us. Andre Lotterer has been dynamic here in this Audi since he came into the factory squad for the last, this will be his 3rd year in the factory teams, and had a 2nd place finish, won last year, faultless run, and he's had a brilliant drive here today. He'll be raring to go.
And make no mistake about it, it's not just for bragging rights, it's for your future. I mean, these two cars going at it like they are going at it is for a ride. It's for what goes forward from here.
Right now, Alain McNish enjoys about a 50-second lead over the number 1 car. Both these cars now, I believe, will need 4 more stops for fuel to get to the checkered flag today. It's going to be tight. The advantage right now is with the two.
Sorry, Cal, this is tight as well. In GTE AM, talking about Corvette, there's a Corvette involved in a massive scrap, and it's Julian Canal and Nicholas Armindo. Here they are. It's not the first time we've seen these two teams and cars and drivers together on track. This is for overall honours in GTE AM, and the number 3 Audi nose into the wall.
Wow.
And that's not the first time we've seen it there. There must be something on track.
That could be fluid. You just saw the Ferrari almost go in as well.
Marc Gené.
Whole front end knocked off, so this is a pretty good impact.
Same area that Dumas is in. That's the first chicane, right?
Yeah. Second time that car has been into those tyre barriers.
Same result.
Be advised, car number 3 just went out into the tire wall at Marshall Post 42. Marshall Post 42 on the exit of the first chicane. Car 3 will be stopped on the right-hand side of you.
That is very bizarre, almost identical really to Romain Dumas. No car in front of him this time, so if you get offline there, you'd have to suggest that there's a lot of marbles involved, and this is just going to spray bodywork pieces all around this race circuit. When Dumas did his,
well,
bodywork was off.
We talked about it yesterday, Cal. If there's just a little bit of fluid down and it just pushes you wide 1 foot, it gets you into the dirty part of the racetrack, and you can't turn. Now, this is going to be a long, long way around. I don't think this particular time that tire and wheel are going to stay there. Look at the caliper jumping up and down. It's going to tear that right front off.
And you remember that we got a beautiful shot in the pit box last time when Romain Dumas had to limp it around in similar style. We saw damage to the carbon fiber monocoque.
Look at this, he's right on the apex there, and then it just takes off on him.
That's exactly what happened.
That is really, really bizarre. It wasn't like he was a car width off the apex, Dorsey. He was right there on line. Maybe a slightly different angle of attack to the apex, but nonetheless, very strange.
It's what makes you think there's got to be fluid down or some sort of thing, because there's no reason for that car just to lose grip like that when, you know, it didn't have too much speed on and it was right on line.
Seen cars having issues here over the last couple of minutes, so maybe one of the cars out there is laying something down and catching these guys out.
This one will be.
Long, slow journey for Marc Gené back to pit lane. This is what it looks like from his view.
Again, 8.5 miles around, and there's debris going to be everywhere.
Fortunately, it's off the racing line. As you come out of there, you immediately slide out to the left side of the road, so where he lost the bodywork pieces there will be off the racing line, so maybe no one will get involved in that.
Can't believe how violent that is inside the car when you're driving like that, trying to get back in. It's really just wanting to rip that whole right side off the car.
You could sprain a wrist there. You got to be careful with your hands on the wheel.
You're totally right about that.
Car 3 is at about MP50 on the right-hand side of the track. Marshals are waving white flags. Marshals are waving white flags to protect car 3.
Oh, he just found. Did you see what he did right there when he put the brake on?
The exit of the first chicane. There are debris on track on the right-hand side at the exit of the first chicane.
Now that seems to be complying a little bit better, doesn't it? Here's the replay again.
See that the oil flag was down. The oil flag was down. You see the red and yellow flag was displayed like there was some fluid down there in the corners. The marshals had seen it. That must have been what caught out Gené.
He figured out what he needed to do. That's what I was about to say. Do you see what happened when he put the brake on? When he put the brake on, the brake caliper grabbed a hold of the rotor and pulled it back in line, got the tire back to where it's supposed to be, where it rolls again. So as long as he drives with a little bit of brake on, it won't flop around quite as bad.
That's what happened to Romain Dumas earlier in the race.
He was a bit more offline, so talked about maybe some fluid coming out of the Seth Nyman machine in front of him.
And speaking of that Seth Nyman machine, the 79 Flying Lizard car, the group, the drivers, the team have done a terrific job to get it back up into 4th place in GTE AM, and Spencer Pumpelly has just climbed from that car.
Yeah, but I think it was just a bit of theatrics. Spencer, you're enjoying yourself and you're pretty covered in sweat here.
Yeah, having a great time. Car was really good the last stint. These guys have done such a good job fighting back from our early setback. Everything's working well right now, and we're hoping that maybe we can get up one more spot and get a podium out of this.
Well, do you think that's possible? Seth's in the car at the moment, of course. Do you know he's the oldest man in the race?
I did hear that, yeah. I was giving him a hard time about that all week. It's possible for sure. You know, there's a lot of time left. Anything can happen. Hate to wish anything bad on someone ahead of us, but someone would have to have an issue for that to happen. But either way, got to give it to these guys, Flying Lizard, everyone here. The effort not only today, but all week. This has been fantastic.
Have enjoyed Le Mans again?
Yes, absolutely. I enjoy this every year. Last year, this year it's even better. So, yeah, having a great time. I'm exhausted, but loving every minute of it.
Absolutely exhausted. Go and take a rest and maybe a bit of breakfast.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, the next closest car is also an American car. It's the Krone Racing Ferrari, and they're some 9 laps ahead of that 79 Porsche. So as Spence mentioned, they would need some misfortune to occur to one of the other cars. And Marc Genet continues to limp his way back to the pits. That opens up an opportunity for these guys at Rebellion, with Neil Yarney behind the wheel of the 12 to climb up into the top 4. Here it is. It's on pit road. We're going to a break. See you in a moment.
What makes the 24 hours of Le Mans so special is that it is so unpredictable. And right now for Audi, the hopes of a 1-2-3 may have gone up in smoke. Alan McNish, with a problem in the Porsche curves, has crashed his car hard, but he's brought the 2 back to pit road. It is in the garage. Marc Genet in the number 3 Audi. The Audi Ultra, a problem as well in the first chicane, and he has just now gotten his wounded Audi back to pit road. Right now, 2 of Audi's 4 cars in the garage with substantial damage and massive repairs going on. But the one remains in front. Can he make it to the end without any problems that have befallen these other 2 cars? We'll find out, Lee.
Brian, all of Audi's resources are being stretched right now. This car will go onto the dollies, spun around and put into its pit box backwards. All hands on deck right now at Audi. Let's show you what happened to Alan McNish. We just caught the tail end of it. Porsche curves crunch into the Armco barrier.
That's early on. We don't see any other cars close to him, so not sure whether that was a mistake by Alan or something wrong with the race car there. You seem to try to drive off, and that massive front wheel just tries to climb the guardrail. Key is going to be suspension damage. It's a lengthy time to change those front corners if they need to do that.
Now this cleanup continues. We're under our 3rd safety car intervention in this race. Cars 2 and 3 in need of major repair. Just when we said it was a mistake from the 1, 3 in a row, the pressure was on them. And the famous trio of McNish, Capello and Christensen make an unexpected error. We still don't have enough information to know what happened. Did Alan hit something on track? Was there another car involved early on, or was it an unforced error by McNish?
Yeah, one thing for sure we know is it didn't have cut down tires because Alan was able to drive back to the pits, so all 4 tires were up. Didn't really get a good look at right before it hit if there was something wrong with the suspension or not at that given point in time. It's not like Alan make mistakes.
Brian?
A lot of work going on in garages right next to each other. Right front damage to the number 3 car. That repair should be relatively straightforward. They practice replacing corners all the time. The Ultra is one thing. The e-tron Hybrid is something else. Remember, it's a hybrid system on the front. That means there is a drive axle on that corner. It will take a little bit more time. The left front is what seems to have sustained the most damage. The tire's already gone back on the right front, but considerable work going on the left front of the number 2 Audi right now. It sits in the garage, and this crew just swarming over this car trying to get it repaired and get it back out. But you've got to believe that the hopes for the number 2 claiming yet another victory here are gone.
Well, the savior for them, if there is one, is that the pace car is out. So it's going to take 6 minutes to go down a lap versus 3:26 that you'd normally pile around this racetrack in. So that is a little bit of a breather, but nonetheless, unless they can get this thing done within 5 minutes, it could be game over in terms of the win.
Sitting here thinking, Calvin, you know, I'm wondering with that hybrid system, if a half shaft left go on one side, on one axle only, if it wouldn't have the same exact result as when you lose a rear, which would pull the car into a spin.
See if we can, here's the replay. This is all we got. This is at the very end of it. He's already lost all of the speed there. That's a very high speed section of the racetrack. He's almost at a crawl there as he gets into the guardrail. So I think he's already lost it, maybe clouded the other side of the the road.
When you see that replay, in the distance, making the right-hand turn, is a red GT car in the distance. Was that car involved, or was it a McNish error?
How ironic would that be that the Audis were involved with 2 massive crashes last year with red Ferraris.
There's the red car going by, way up ahead.
You can see that Ferrari way down the road, but the speed that Alan was going, if he did get blocked or ran out of road trying to pass that Ferrari, the speed they're going, that would be the distance between the 2 cars with Alan's spin and then getting into the guardrail. So there is a possibility that is the reason for this incident. Now these guys rehearse this type of stuff in preparation for Le Mans.
Looks front end getting ready to go back on.
This is good news here for this team. If they have got that left front corner changed effectively so that the hybrid power will be working, this is a big one.
Brian, did you see a driver change? Is McNish still behind the wheel, or did TK Tom Christensen get in?
McNish was still behind the wheel when I was there. I've gone next door to the number 3, but Alan was sitting in that car up on the jack stands while the crew going to work.
Car's been in the garage for 6 minutes right now, which should equate to exactly 1 lap with the pace car out there. Remember, he was leading, so you have to pull the car out, get it parallel to the garage. You're not allowed to drive it out. They need to stop. They'll probably top him up with gas, I would imagine, unless it's tight to keep him on the lead lap. There you go, topping him up. We're going to have to go to the end of pit lane, wait for the next train of cars behind the next pace car, and then we'll see how it cycles.
Great work once again. We've seen it year after year after year.
Totally amazing.
This is not going to be too bad. See that? He's being released immediately. That couldn't have gone any smoother. I mean, it wasn't like the train had just passed and he had to wait for another 2 minutes to wait for the next pace car. That was as effective as that could be in terms of getting a repair done.
And perhaps that balances the equation where earlier in the race the second safety car intervention hurt the number 2 car to the tune of some 2 minutes. Let's go to Andrew Marriott with an update on the McNish situation. Andrew?
Yeah, I got Fred Mako with him, who's just climbed out of that 59 car. Now, there was speculation that maybe Alan McNish hit you. Is that the case?
The LMP1 was behind me, and but very not really close. And I go in the double left of the S Porsche, and I didn't think that he can try something, but he was not really close of me, and I didn't understand what did he try, and it's like this.
Did you see him crash?
Yeah, in the mirror, when I check in the mirror, because I wait that he overtake me in the right corner of the after the double left of the S Porsche, and I saw that he touched the wall. Well, it was strange.
Thank you very much. That's Fred Mako. He's a very quick young man, is Fred Mako.
So, Andrew, did you deduce the same thing from us, from Freddie, as we did, that Alan attempted a pass on the luxury Ferrari?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
So there we go. There was a car involved. It was a GT Ferrari, as it was a year ago.
Unbelievable.
Didn't say there was contact made. He just said that Alan made a late attempt on him, possibly. He didn't believe that he was going to be inside there like that. But
such a high-speed approach. Remember, a couple of years ago, Tom Christensen got it wrong in terms of miscommunicating with Andy Priaulx when Priaulx changed sides of the racetrack on the entry to the Porsche curves in a wounded BMW. Tom misinterpreted that and crashed quite heavily, cost him a couple of laps that day.
We've had a bunch of tweets from you, and thanks for sending them in. And those tweets have been saying thank you for showing us the Corvette onboard lap. Remember, you can go to speed.com/Corvette to ride on those 2 onboard cameras and see the Team Corvette pit box camera as well. Under our 3rd full course caution in this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. We'll be back right after this.
Speed's coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering, and by Rolex, official timekeeper of the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Welcome back. Good morning. Great to have you with us on the final 2.5 hours of the race coverage. 3 hours left in total of Speed's coverage. Good morning, folks. Lee Diffie, Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader with you. Andrew Marrity on pit road. Brian Till down there as well. And this happened just a few moments ago. The number 3 Audi, just once again, precision work from the Yost team, the Audi Sport boys, to get 2 cars that were in very bad condition, serviced and sent in a very short period of time.
Yeah, just incredible work, and it all comes down to that exhaustive preparation like we talked about at the beginning of this show. You know, Le Mans will always throw you a curveball. It's how you deal with that curveball. Today, the curveball may have come too late for that number 2 car, however, with Alan McNish's incident with the Ferrari, we believe, was involved in why he had that crash. They are now just over 1 lap down, 1 lap plus a little bit, so Trellier will need a pit before Allen. That should put him back on the lead lap, but they need a lot of help here. There we see Andre Lauderer observing. Last year when he got in the car for the final time, he said, "I've got this, don't worry." Maybe he'll say the same today.
A lot of pressure off for sure at this point. I mean, he's going to have, they're going to be on the same lap, but without another caution falling and getting things back tight together, it's not going to happen because the number 1 car has been the faster car.
He's got very characterful eyes. And last year he had the eye of the tiger on when Simon Pagenaud was chasing him down. And there's not that same kind of pressure being applied this year. Certainly not from an opponent, just teammates. But that pressure has been alleviated, as Dorsey just mentioned.
But again, with 2.5 hours to go, it's far from over. Anything can happen.
Right behind.
Like a jet could land in the middle of the racetrack.
The grandstand is Le Mans Airport. That runs parallel with the main straight at Le Sarthe.
But as Sam's piece said, it's about this time when the
yes, right.
big guns come wandering in, staying at their nice hotels, maybe up in Paris, coming in to see the finish of the race and walk into pit lane and say, "How are we doing?"
The car 2 did what? So a chance for a breather. And the man who crashed and caused this latest full course caution, Alan McNish told us earlier, under these cautions you do get a chance to relax and look around a little bit, perhaps take in some of the things you don't have a chance to normally look at as the marshals assess that barrier where McNish went in the Porsche curves.
You see they have a bucket pushed up against, their front loader pushed up against there, and they're trying to push that beam back to straight again and get that part of the guardrail back to safe. That's extremely high speed right through there. Big impact.
And it's the 3rd time in this race that we have seen damage to those Armco barriers where they have needed some form of repair. More about the Audi situation, more with Brian Till. Bri?
Well, you know, we say that the 1 has been without drama all race long. That's not entirely true. If you'll remember, there was a potential infraction that was called. The car chief, which would have been Ralph Juttner for the number 1 car, was called to race control for a potential infraction, and that drug on for a while. In fact, it was not answered for over an hour, and so all of that kind of lay there. And looking at Alan McNish falling a lap down, the potential was for the 1 car to lose a lap if he had some type of infraction. But I just checked with Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich. He said that has now been taken care of. The 1 car is clean, but that was an underlying story that we needed to put to bed. So it looks like for right now, at least, that has been taken care of. That has gone away, and there will be no penalty on the 1. That is good news, and perhaps that was the only hope that the drivers of the 2 had left.
Good point, Brian. Wonder what was going on there. I believe there might have been something happen. Remember, the 1 car and the 2 car got split by the safety cars. I wonder if Lauderer had gone around the safety car, and that was what the stewards were potentially looking at, as we see some nice replays again.
That was Benoit Trellier just locking up the rears and turning it round in what you could describe as a gentle spin, coming across the pit lane speed limit line on pit in, and it didn't hurt him all but a few seconds. This is Marc Gené bringing the wounded number 3 to pit road in very similar style to what happened to his number 3 teammate Romain Dumas much earlier in the race. We're back to live pictures. Inside 2.5 hours left.
I'll tell you what, that change on Alan's car, that left front corner with the hybrid axle and everything, Dorsey, was remarkable.
That was unbelievable. We've seen Audi do it at the back of the car. Now we've seen it at the front of the car, being able to rebuild the entire thing and put it right back out there in, what was it, 7 minutes?
Yeah, it's not just the suspension, it's the whole axle, the motor generator unit from the hybrid system and everything. They did a remarkable job there. About 6 minutes in the garage.
While we're in this calmer period, let's give you a snapshot. I know lots of you are just grabbing your first cup of coffee or tea for the morning. It's Audi 1-2-3. Despite the dramas, it is still Audi 1-2-3. The defending race winners, Trellier, Fessler, Lotterer, are leading the way, as Calvin said, by a lap and a bit over the recently wounded number 2. In LMP2, it's the American Star Works team that is in a commanding position by over a lap over the 46. The TDS Racing prototype. Christoph Tinsu behind the wheel. Pierre Kappa is third. That's still going to be a good fight there. We'll keep our eyes on that one. In the 2 GT categories, in GTE Pro, it's still looking very, very good for the guys who finished runner-up last year. Jimmy Bruni, Tony Villander, and Giancarlo Fisichella are leading over fellow Ferrari driver Dom Farnbacher. We just heard from Freddie Makowiecki, who was involved in that incident with Alan McNish. So it's Ferrari 1-2. Aston Martin is still third with Stefan Muka. And in GTE AM, this is the standing. It's been a terrific arm wrestle between a Corvette and a Porsche, running just seconds apart. It's now a little bit more than that. Julian Canal has taken the lead back for Labra competition over Raymond Narak. What are we seeing here? This was the that was the earlier incident. That's a replay from the world feed of Marc Genet. Yeah. And third, I'm pleased to say, in GTE.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. This is Alan's crash.
And I don't see any contact, Calvin. That's the first time we've seen that.
Tells us what we needed to know.
Yeah, it did.
Well, it looked like he pinched it a little bit, Dorsey.
He did do. Got inside the Ferrari and just had to really tighten the steering up.
Look at that, even Wolfgang Ulrich involved in helping out.
It's his babies.
We have got that replay for you of that new camera angle of the McNish-Makowiecki incident. Let's show you.
He did it by himself.
Yeah. Did he drop the inside left rear on? It was right on the dust there. I know what you're looking at, Lee. You could just see him. He was just, I think he was just trying to pinch it to have a go at him before that next left-hander. I think what he's trying to set up. I think right there he was just setting up Dorsey to accelerate alongside him. You see the Ferrari then turning into that next left-hander. I think Alan was thinking of having to go between those two.
So, from an Audi driver that will be thoroughly disappointed to an Audi driver who could be a back-to-back winner at Le Mans. Brian?
There's still a long way to go, and I know Andre Lauderer knows that, but as you head into these final hours, you'll be the one that drives the #1 car to the checkered flag. How do you focus all the bad luck that's happened to the rest of the team and focus it forward to the job that you need to do?
You know, it doesn't matter. The job remains the same, regardless if you've been unlucky, regardless if you're leading or if you're 10th. You know, you just got to do your best. Now the situation is a little bit different. Due to Alan's accident, you know, we're both gonna probably drive the car home. Not that it means that it's easy. You know, Le Mans is drama. You know, anything can happen. You just need a little bit gravel or oil. You know, you mix speed with these components, and things go wrong. And you gotta stay alert. And the best way to stay alert and sharp is also to drive fast. So I have to find the right mixture.
And obviously, after 22 hours of racing on this racetrack, it's going to be dirty. Any word that you'll get from your other driver as you head out of pit lane as to the track conditions?
Yeah, we're pretty good at this. You know, when I see something, I notice immediately on the radio, and then it gets shared, and the other way around. Now, probably driving offline is not a good idea, so I'm going to stick it to the apex.
Best of luck. We'll let you get back to concentrating. You know, it's interesting. One of the signs in the back of the garage here at Audi, you see it. It says Audi Top Service, and these guys have certainly been performing top service.
Like what he said. Like what he said. He said Le Mans is drama.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's a pretty cool cat, though.
30-year-old German comes from pretty humble roots, a working class background. He said, I owe my career all to my parents. And he said, driving to the checkered flag at Le Mans was the best experience of my life. He's going to get to do it twice. Unbelievable.
Enter now for a chance to win a 2013 Corvette 427 convertible with the 60th anniversary package, plus a trip for two to next year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. Visit racetowincorvette.com now to enter.
We know there are thousands and thousands of Corvette fans watching, and to update, you still have a car in the top 4 in the GTE Pro class. Antonio Garcia in the 73 car. His teammates Jan Magnussen and Le Mans rookie Jordan Taylor are sitting 4th. It's still not inconceivable to see one of those American muscle cars on the podium here at Le Mans after a very, very eventful time for both the 73 and 74.
They're 5 laps back of Stefan Muka, who's in the Aston right now, so they need one of those lead 3 cars to have some kind of dramas. But it's been a brilliant fight back by that squad, and that's where you keep digging deep. We talked about it, Dorsey. It is so hard for the crew and the drivers when you're so many laps down and you're not running for this championship. You're just here to win Le Mans, to keep grinding away, but those boys have done it. It'll be a great experience for Jordan Taylor in particular to see the complete 24 hours. He did a triple stint a few hours ago and said he really got into a groove, which is good stuff. He'll come back next year even stronger.
They only need one of the cars in front of them to have a problem, and they'll be on that podium with 2 hours and 18 minutes to go. That's not out of the question by any means.
What an experience that would be on debut if Jordan could look down at that massive sea of people from the podium here at Le Mans. Brilliant stuff.
You will have noticed the lights are out on the Audi safety car. So all 3 of them, remember 3 different safety cars dispatched at various parts of the circuit. And there you have it. Green flag will be displayed right now.
Safety cars are being withdrawn. We have a green flag.
We get back to racing with 2 hours, 17 minutes remaining. And at the top of the tree, Audi car number 1, the new e-tron Quattro, is in a very, very comfortable position.
And there it is.
Yeah, here it comes.
I got a feeling they may try and squeak another couple of laps before they hit pit lane. He doesn't have a lot of fuel on board. With these diesels, of course, Dorsey, as you know, the fuel save is tremendous when you're off the throttle like they are under caution here. So I think if they wait a little bit before pitting, he'll be able to do it on 3 more stops. If not, he may need a splash of fuel looking at the fuel numbers here. So he may try and squeak 1 or 2 more laps here before hitting pit lane. Of course, the other thing is they may be thinking about potential debris around the race circuit. Want to throw a fresh set of tires at it as soon as possible.
This is the class-leading car in GTE AM. It was the class-winning car, the same car last year at the hands of the Works Corvette team in GTE Pro. It could be back-to-back wins for this machine. Wouldn't that be something special?
Well, it's been solid all through the race, that's for sure. The team's done a great job keeping it going.
This is the car that has been fighting.
Yeah, I think they just lost the lead to the Porsche there. And again, the strategy is under caution, wait for the green flag and then make the pit stop. You're going to lose less time if you're just taking fuel, not doing major service. So this is going to be a battle till the end. Corvette will have a bit more fuel on board.
Raymond Narek, the team principal, the team owner, is behind the wheel of the IMSA Performance Matmut car right now. And a gentleman driver who has really improved dramatically over the years.
Having said that, I'm looking at timing and scoring. It seems like with that pace car shuffle that the 50 car had in fact gone up a lap on the... Oh no, now it rotates, okay. So the timing is just cycled. It is the 67 to the front.
But not by a lot.
No, that was as close. The Corvette leaving the pit lane as he drove by. That is the lead. That is the gap.
That's Raymond Narek, who won with Richard Leitz and Pat Long. This is the JRM Honda HPD. We heard Nick Worth from Worth Research say, yeah, our P2 program's going great. It's not all that great in P1 at the moment, but with that being said, Karun Chandhok is sitting 6th overall.
That car looks remarkably good for what it's been through. 22 hours, and you see it's one of the cleaner cars out there. I don't know if I like all the Audis being on the same part of the racetrack at the same time with the luck they're having.
Wonder what's going through this man's head. Alan McNish still behind the wheel of the number 2. During that caution, he would have had time to reflect on the decision that he made with the Ferrari there, entering the Porsche curves, questioning himself, and if he would have done it differently, of course.
Well, you think about those things, you make those calculated risks, and then when it goes wrong, you have the time to think about, did I really need to do that?
We saw the replay, Dorsey, and just looking at the language of the car, I think he was just trying to set him up right there as that section there before that left-hander that he just hit. I think he was trying to squirt past the Ferrari before then. You could just see him pinching it to the inside on power and just lost the rear end.
Coming up on the sister car, number 4 of Ollie Jarvis, and gets by him very quickly and very effectively. We understand this car has received a penalty. This is the second Labra competition machine, the 70 for speeding on pit lane. All 3 Audis here, 2, 3, 2, 4 and 3. These are the others, because there's only one that counts, and that's the lead car at Le Mans, ultimately the winning car. Car 1 is out all by itself as these 3 run in line. McNish, Jarvis, and Marc Gené in the 3.
Tell you what, Alan McNish is going to have nightmares if he didn't have them last year after the crash here at Le Mans with the red Ferrari. Probably have them after the incident again today.
He'll be hoping not to see any more red Ferraris. There's plenty of them out there this year. Well,
he's a man who is synonymous with sports car racing around the world. He's synonymous with Audi and Le Mans. And he's a guy that we also know very, very well. So you feel for him on a personal level. From a professional level, you also feel for him because he also not known for making mistakes. However, 2 years in a row, while in a strong position, that has occurred here at Le Mans.
Well, you feel a tremendous sense of responsibility. That is the difference with sports car racing, Dorsey, as you know. You've got teammates. It's not just your mistake. There's the weight of the manufacturer of Audi on your shoulders. They're still going to win this race. But for your teammates, Tom Christensen going for his 9th, for Dindo, potentially his last run here at Le Mans, it's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you got to look at it that way too, because that's the way it really is. We talked about at the beginning of the show the nature of this race. Now it's changed from a 24-hour endurance race to a 24-hour sprint race. And now that it's become what it is, we're seeing more and more of these types of accidents like Alan had, because the moment of truth comes. You have to pass a slower car, and you have to commit to it. And unfortunately, guys are pushing so hard that we're having a lot of accidents.
We tend to focus, obviously, on the mistakes or on the incidents because that's the drama of the racetrack, the drama of the race. But those decisions are made literally hundreds of times during a 24-hour race. So 99.9% of the time you're making the correct decision in terms of how much are you willing to lose. Are you willing to lose 2 or 3 seconds potentially through those Porsche curves, sitting behind a GT car, knowing that the other Audi is chasing you?
And then factor in that GT car has 3 different drivers, and you don't know which one's in there. There's a lot of amateur drivers out there, so you really don't know how to read the road like you would if it was just a one-on-one situation.
And even the pro drivers in those GT cars are going to make different decisions in terms of whether they're willing to let you go. We see mistakes typically with the spatial awareness of the amateur driver. But with the pro guys, some guys are going to be more aggressive, not wanting to give it up. Other guys will say, okay, you'll take this corner, let me let you go, and I'll sacrifice maybe half a second to let this prototype through.
We gave you a ride in the Corvette in the dark. Let's give you a brief ride here during daylight hours. Enjoy. We're off to a break, and Antonio Garcia will take us there. We are back at Le Mans and keeping a watchful eye on the clock with just over 2 hours remaining here at Le Sath. Speaking about things upcoming, this Friday. It's Barrett-Jackson, Orange County. Yeah, it returns to speed. You can see the finest cars. Just what a diverse range of incredible collectibles, and it's all up for grabs. You can watch the auction live, as always. Build your dream collection. It's Barrett-Jackson, Orange County, Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And you know the deal. It's exclusive to Speed. These guys might be in an exclusive club soon. AF Corsa and their trio of drivers. There's Karun Chandhok on the left, David Brabham on the right. Peter Dumbrek is in that prototype, the JRM Honda, to the very end. Chandhok has just stepped from the car. Cal and I spent probably about half an hour with Karun Chandhok the other day. Fascinating character, very active. Told us that he just recently negotiated the TV rights for Le Mans to India. He lives in Madras. He splits his time between Madras in India and the UK. And he's actively involved. His family, multi-generations, have been involved in the Motorsport Federation in India. He has spent countless hours promoting Formula One, he and Narain Karthikeyan. And now he says, I've got to educate the Indian population on sports cars now.
Well, they're doing that here this weekend. There's 25 Indian journalists brought over here, and guess who's paying for it? Audi. There's an Indian driver in the race, so the interest is there, and Audi have paid to bring them over, obviously anticipating a strong run. And I talked to him about the economy. He said it's really good in India right now. Would you believe that there are 7 to 11 million new cell phone numbers developed every month over there? That is how strong the middle-class economy is right now in India.
Speaking about how strong, what about Starworks in LMP2, their first appearance at Le Mans? Andrew, cross your fingers.
Yeah, I'm with Peter Barron. Just to tell you about Karun first, he lives near Silverstone, and on a monthly basis for the British Racing Drivers Club, he holds a special curry night, and it's great fun, I can tell you. But anyway, here's Peter Barron, and Peter, it's not all over yet. I mean, you're in the lead, but it's still close. We just saw your rival 46 car make a pit stop. You watched it very intently on the screen.
Right. No, it's still a bit longer than our Detroit race we had with Grand Am a couple of weeks ago. That's a 2-hour race, so it's a lot could happen in 2 hours. We have about 3 pit stops to go. We're good on our fuel plan's good now. There's going to be no little splash and dash. Tom's going to finish out this stint. We'll put Ryan into the end. We've just been keeping our nose clean and letting other people make mistakes or get in the gravel. So we're just trying to run a nice pace, a nice rhythm, and we're hopefully a little over 2 hours away from this.
Well, this is a dream debut for you here with Starworks.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Just one last thing, Peter. The Starworks, how did you come? It's a great name. How did you come by Starworks as a name for a team?
No, it has to do with all sorts of fun. Like Ryan and I, we had a couple bad years together, and we're trying to think of name something different. I don't have an ego to put my name on it, and there's something about sheep shearing that kind of came to work with.
Oh, we're not going to ask any more stuff. Stop, please. Okay, that's Peter Barron.
Peter's a mean man with a razor on himself at times. Won't go any further.
You know, looking at this team, how well they've done. Yesterday, or at the beginning of this, he was talking about the fact that they were slower. They didn't have the lap speed to catch up, and on top of that, they were about 1 lap shy on fuel mileage than the other cars that they were racing against. It's going to be really tough to figure this out, but yet they've done it.
They've done a tremendous job, and what a year they're having, starting off with a Rolex 24-hour race. It was a brilliant run there, eventually finishing second to Mike Shank Racing. Then they win Sebring, the 12-hour, and now they're in position, let's put it that way, as he said, a long way to go, over 2 hours, but leading this event. What a brilliant run in the big Enduros.
This is the car that was in front of Alan McNish that forced McNish to make a move perhaps that he, if he had his time over again, would not have. It's the Luxury Racing, the pole-sitting car in GTE Pro. It's the car that is not an immediate threat to Giancarlo Fisichella's 51 AF Corsa car. You saw an interesting facial expression on the Italian as he watches on and is dreaming about being a Le Mans class winner, and he's within 2 hours of achieving that.
This is the other thing. We talk about this car being involved with Alan McNish. They're pushing hard. Do you know what I mean? They're not on cruise mode. They're pushing to chase down a leader themselves. And when you have one of those prototypes come up, you don't want to give away those vital tenths of a second. So that may have played into that incident that we saw as well.
It's not a back marker car. You know, it's a car in a lesser class than a P1 car for sure. Its potential for going at speed is not the same. However, that's one of the top class cars. It is going for a win as well. So, I mean, by no means is that a back marker. That's just the nature of the beast.
Thankfully, the world feed has shown us 1, 2, and 3 in GTE Pro, 2 Ferraris and an Aston Martin. Remember, America's Corvette Racing with Antonio Garcia behind the wheel is running 4th in this class. Many of you may not have had a chance to watch yesterday or during the nighttime hours. You'll be hearing a lot, and you heard a lot about the revolutionary Nissan Delta Wing. What's the latest, Andrew? We know they're out of the race, but what do you have?
Well, they're clearing up in the garage here, as you can see, and we don't know if the Delta Wing will ever race again. But here's a bit of news. I was in Audi last night, and the boss of Highcroft Racing, Duncan Dayton, was in very detailed conversations with a very senior Audi personnel, one of the top management. What is Duncan up to? That's what I'm asking. If this project is finished as a racing car, and we don't know it is, but if it is, and it won't be back at Le Mans next year, we know that, then maybe Duncan is planning something else.
Well, Duncan was certainly in negotiations with Audi a couple of years ago to actually campaign their ALMS program, and finally Audi decided we're not going to compete in the ALMS championship, so maybe those discussions continue.
This is the Delta Wing story. It involves Nakajima, the Toyota driver. There's the Toyota going around the outside, Delta Wing on the right-hand side. This is on a restart.
Nakajima just didn't know didn't see him there, and just
see him at all.
The difference in weight of the vehicles, a car that weighs 2,600 pounds versus a car that weighs 1,000 pounds.
It wasn't a subtle move. It wasn't just like he moved a little bit. He went from one side of the road to the other to try and set up an exit off of that corner. Just too dramatic when you're in thick traffic like that.
As light as that car is to be competitive, you know, it just doesn't take much to knock it down out of the way, and you saw that.
And again, the crying shame with all of this was Marino Franchitti has poured his heart and soul into developing that Delta Wing. He never even got to see any green flag laps here today, as he was going to be the third driver on rotation. Crum saw some action, as did Motoyama, of course.
We just showed you the top 3 in GTE Pro, and you saw that fabulous Golf liveried. In fact, for all of the Golf liveried cars here at Le Mans this year, the Aston Martin is the only one that has corporate support from Golf. The rest are all done through the franchisees, through the gas stations, etc. That's actually the genuine corporate Golf deal on that Aston Martin Vantage V8, and it's time to hear from one of its drivers.
Adrian Fernandez sharing that car with Stefan Muka, and Darren Turner having a great run in third right now. But one of the things that we've seen, especially a couple of times with the Audis, conflict between prototypes and GT, and I thought you would be the perfect person to talk to about that, Adrian, because you now drive a GT car. You're used to driving prototypes. What's going on with these prototypes and GT cars mixing it up in Apexes?
Well, it's all these type of things happens always in the critical passing zone. You know, when he's getting close, you know, is he there or is he not there? What I do in the GT, I actually put the car in the middle. So I make sure he doesn't think it's an opening. When it's that critical, when you get into the corner. And sometimes that misinterpretations, but some drivers where the GT thinks he's not going to give him the room, and the other guy thinks that he's going to give him the room, and then that's what happens. So as a prototype, you have to be more patient. But the approaching speed that you pass the GTs is so big that sometimes you make a misjudgment, and that's what happens. So in the GT, I really definitely take my self-care of making sure I put the car in a special place.
And right now, the #1 Audi on the pit road. Thank you very much, Adrian. And the 97 trying to hold on to third in GT.
Yeah, we're only going to see this a few more times, the one on pit road. And more than likely, we will see a driver change here. Benoit Trelier will hand over to his good friend Andre Lotterer, who we just heard from not that long ago, to take this one home for the second year in a row.
Should be 3 more starts for these guys. This one plus 2 more.
Tell us what you see, Brian.
I want to say a routine stop, but as we all know, it's this entire race for Audi has been full of drama. It is Andre Lauder who is climbing in. Benoit Trillier out of the car, and they will do a new drink bottle. Obviously, 4 new Michelin tires will go on as well. And as I look over the side of this #1 Audi e-tron Quattro, just a few oil streaks down the side, but the car looks to be in good condition. And we've heard it said time and time before, you've got to be patient, but you've got to go. And perhaps this young trio, even though they're young in age, they are wise beyond their years because they have been patient, with the exception of Fassler's experience out on the track a little bit earlier today. This team has run well and trouble-free.
Even though they're so well rehearsed, Brian, there was a little bit of a miscue there on the seat insert. Either Ben was supposed to take it with him or Andre was supposed to throw it out. Andre is trying to jump into the seat with the seat insert still installed, so it didn't cost him any time with the fuel and tire change happening. That's why they do the driver changes only when tires are going on the car, so that there is a bit more of a buffer and a cushion if it goes wrong.
Andre, a pretty tall driver, wouldn't fit probably with that seat insert in there, I wouldn't think.
No, that would cramp you up in a heartbeat around here.
And where will we end as far as laps completed? The all-time Le Mans record is 397, set by Audi a couple of years ago. We're at 346 now with just under 2 hours to run, and a man behind the wheel of car #1 who has done 3 Le Mans, and he's finished every single one, including winning a year ago. Many of you turning on for the first time, you'll want to see some highlights of the 80th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This, the most dramatic moment in the race. Anthony Davidson being collected by Perezzini in the Ferrari. And this was scary, scary stuff. And Davidson has suffered 2 fractured vertebrae and is in hospital at the moment. He's in good spirits and fully acknowledges his injury, but that was scary.
This is a little bit of Japanese argy-bargy here as the Toyota gets into the Nissan Delta Wing.
Kills it.
That car would see no further action, was a big shame.
That was Nakajima on Motoyama, and Dorse, this was Marcel Fassler deep in the night, leading the race, and got very lucky in the Porsche curves.
Porsche curves, you don't spin there without hitting anything. We couldn't believe that he got away with it. He didn't. He just got a little bit of it, though.
Just grazed the wall, and then Fassler had a bit of a wild ride here over the last 24 hours. This is early this morning, down into Arnage, going around the outside of that Corvette that had spun, and again just clipped it. Here we see the quick change to the rear deck. Didn't cost him a tremendous amount of time, and then he was under pressure. I believe it was TK in the 2 car. Watch TK though, he gets a little bit loose, gets it turned. And a little bit of dirt tracking from the #1 car as he returns to the action.
We were all set for a great scrap between the 1 and the 2 until this. An unforced error from Alan McNish.
Just pinched his car around the end of the Ferrari. He was trying to get a little squirt of throttle right there, but it resulted in a wreck.
Yep, and he was in the lead of the race at that point. It was all shaping up for the amount of stops left. Who was quickest? 1 versus 2, 2 versus 1. And now that fight has just softened quite a bit with a 1-lap margin plus, and to the advantage of the defending race winners, Andre Lauder, Marcel Fassler and Benoit Trillier as our respective class leaders. That brings you up to date with the big moments in this race. For now, let's go to Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, well, I'm with David Hanneman Hansen, who is living a dream, David, really, because you came here and you saw the great efforts of your fellow countrymen here, and now you're doing it yourself.
It's been absolutely wonderful. It was a little more wonderful when we were leading the race, and but even though we've had all these problems, we had 4 punctures, we had some electrical issues, it's just been a blast, and looks like the car is now solid and we can go to the end, and that was the original goal, just to come here, be part of the event and finish the 24-hour race.
Now, David, away from that, in the computer world, you're a very big name. Just explain what you've done.
Sure. I came up with something called Ruby on Rails, which is sort of a thing that a lot of websites use to create themselves, Twitter and Groupon and Yellow Pages and so forth, or build on that.
So your technology allows us to see Groupon.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I'm always proud of that, but at least on Twitter, it's great to have played a small part in that.
Yeah, so there's yet another Danish man to cheer. I tell you, half of Denmark seems to be at the race.
Yes, I think there are 25,000 spectators down here that are waving Danish flags. So it's absolutely amazing to have that many fans supporting you. And it's great to see that we've been so many Danes, 6 Danes starting on the grid, somebody in every class and in a competitive car in every class.
Thanks very much, David Hansen.
Let's not forget, it's a Dane who is the most successful here at Le Mans, TK, Tom Christensen. And will he get in to finish this one off with 1 hour and 3/4 to go when Alan McNish pits that number 2 for the second last time?
Have to assume that Tom was awake. He probably took a nap after his last stint, but I'm sure he's awake and getting prepped to get back behind the wheel. And with the race lead so tight, I'm sure he couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the pictures of Alan's car off in the Porsche curves.
You hate that when you go back, you know, you've done your stint or your double or triple stint. You go back, you go to bed, get some rest, and you pop back up ready to go and find out that it's all gone wrong.
Looking at Tom's stats over the years, Lee and I were looking at this the other day. When Tom's car has not been involved in an incident, when it has not been involved in an incident, he has either won or been the leading Audi in the race. He's finished third a couple of times in GT1 car, got into the car in 2006. In 2010, Priaulx was involved in the Porsche Curse. 2009 he finished third, but that was a Peugeot 1-2, so he was still a leading Audi in the race. And once again today we see it with Alan's incident. If they run trouble-free, Tom typically leads the way for the Audi camp.
There's Nico Prost, son of Alain Prost. There's the Alain Prost karting center here, just over behind the paddock, just on the exit of the Porsche curves. The Rebellion team were thrilled to be fit to finish best petrol-powered car last year, and that was 6th. They are now 4th. Neil Yanni is Nico Prost and Nick Heidfeld's teammate in that number 12 Toyota-powered Rebellion. They will be ecstatic to be ahead of at least one of the 4 Audis.
These guys currently 4th in class, 3 laps behind the next position, which is Pierre Caffer. So they need something to happen to that front 3 to see the podium here today. But it's still been a very strong run. Just a few minor delays has kept them out of the lead battle.
I think all but the lead car in P2, and the lead car for us being an American network with an American audience and Starworks leading and dominating that. I think for the most part all the other positions, because P2 is so deep, then the talent and the quality of car is so deep that it's constantly changed over these 22 hours.
You know, the possibility of having a complete trouble-free race is very little here anymore. With the way they're running at the speeds and the aggression levels that they have to drive at, it's just almost impossible to clean race.
P2 used to be, oh, I won P2 at Le Mans, like, yeah, okay, big deal. I mean, you were the only one standing. Now you win P2. It is a major achievement because the class is deep, the cars are really strong. And I think a lot of it comes back to, in the old days, Dorsey, it used to be a 675 kilo category. The cars really weren't built and robust enough to go 24 hours. Now they're 900 kilos. It's made a big difference.
That weight's such an issue. Everything was made so light, trying to keep the car down to weight, that everything broke. And of course, by adding the extra weight, they got the parts much sturdier.
Mike Rockenfeller climbs aboard the 4 to take it home. He's a 2-time winner at Le Mans. 1 was in the GT2 class with Alex Job Racing. And of course, just 2 years ago, he won with Timo Bernard and Romain Dumas. He got rid of his bad ghosts here at Le Mans, didn't he? Because this circuit, this track, this race was not that kind to the young and extremely talented German. And if you're a follower of the DTM, he is one of Audi's DTM stars as well, racing against our own Joey Hand, week in, week out, in perhaps the toughest tin top series in the world. That and V8 supercars, no doubt, are the toughest too.
You knew you were going to get that V8 supercar in there, didn't you?
Yeah, you know there'd be an Australian mention. I think there's 3 per hour minimum over the course of 24 hours. I think he's on a retainer, actually.
I think so.
I'm not, but you did plant a good seed.
Rocky, when we get back to Rockefeller, he didn't even anticipate competing here at the 24-hour race, and when Audi expanded to 4 cars, he suddenly said, okay, I can't do the test day, we're racing DTM, but I can be there for the race. And obviously he has such good experience here now. He's been through it all. He's had the devastation of making a mistake, a big one down at Tete Rouge, I think it was in 2007, and then rebounding for that win in 2010, which was just magic.
Speaking of Audi, let's go there now with the man who could be, in an hour and 3/4, a 2-time winner, Brian.
Benoit Trellier has handed over to Andre Lauderer, and Benoit, I know that you handed on a pretty good car. You had an interesting press release before the weekend. It talked about the 7 deadly sins. Some of those were greed and wanting to go faster and how to control that, but what you didn't talk about was nerves. How difficult is it to control your nerves as you stand here, knowing that Andre has your potential win in his hands?
Yeah, it's this is our job, you know. We deal with that since a long time ago, and it's not specific of Le Mans, you know. It's all the races. When you are close to the end, the nerves is difficult to control. But anyway, the good thing is we tried to be very safe during the race and quick. We had a good pace, and every time in the morning it's a time to push really hard. And I would say we had a great friend with Alain this morning. He was pushing really strong, and I was doing like hell too, and we were on the edge, and we tried to measure the risk, but I don't know what's happened to him, if he went a little bit offline or what, but unfortunately we couldn't fight until the end like that, very close, but we never know what can happen. It's still not finished. We have to wait to check a flag, and we hope we're going to fight until the end.
Would you rather be standing here or in the car at the checkered flag?
I would have loved to finish the race too, but we have to share all that thing, you know, as the strategy is the most important.
That's part of teamwork. The 2-car in right now. Alain McNish in the car. They'll do service to it, and he'll head back out. So McNish stays in. The 2 has been fueled. He heads back out on track.
Well, we may have seen Tom Christensen climb aboard at that stop, but not to be the case. Great to hear from Benoit Trellier, an avid motocross rider and a man who made his name here at Le Mans through the Pescarolo team, but now most famously is known as an Audi Le Mans winner. And Loic Duval needs to thank his good friends Benoit Trellier and Andre Lauderer, fellow racers in Japan, for helping assist him to slide into a Works Audi seat at Le Mans. We need to squeak away from Le Mans for a quick commercial break as we get closer and closer to the checkered flag on the 80th running of this famed event. Today, NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco, is live from Michigan. Sliced Bread toasted the competition. Find out if Joey Logano's Pocono win saved his ride. Plus, Mark Martin is on the show, and they'll be talking about Kurt Busch. There's a whole bunch to talk about, and that is Race Day, fueled by Sunoco. Join John Roberts and the gang, and that's from 10 Eastern this morning, right after Sunday morning's Speed Center hit.
Who's on the pole?
Who's on the pole? I better let you talk about that. Hey, let's get it down to Andrew Marriott. Andrew, what do you have?
Well, fantastic. Brian Vickers is 1 minute away from getting the car. He's going to talk to us. Brian, this is going to help you at Infineon next week, I reckon.
I sure hope so. We've gone through a lot. I've had a wonderful time. I can't thank AF Corsa and Waltrip enough. RK Motor Charlotte to be on the car. It's been an absolutely incredible experience. Now, granted, I thought we had a shot at the podium. We lost a gearbox, changed that. Then I blew a tire coming through Dunlop, caught fire, back in the car, and now here we go again. So it's been a great experience. I can't thank everyone enough for being here at Le Mans.
Has it made you a better road racer?
I sure hope so. I've got enough laps.
30 seconds, the car's coming in, Brian. Off you go.
It's all about laps.
Well, we know that both Darrell and Michael Waltrip have been watching with much interest, and your man has done a really good job, and he's thoroughly enjoyed Le Mans. And I'm pleased for him that he's turned around those bad memories of Spa, where he crashed on the formation lap in very wet and treacherous conditions. That was not one to remember, but this run here certainly will be. And Rob Kaufman was in the background of that interview, a man integral in that operation.
Ryan Dalziel behind the wheel now of the lead LMP2 car, the Starworks entry. hoping to take it to the checkered flag. He's going to have his head down. He's going to have the hammer down. Just manage this race now. They should be in good shape. Should be looking at 2 more stops to see the checkered flag this afternoon in terms of fuel. They look like they have things under control at this moment, but the slightest hiccup, suddenly the pressure will be mounted on them.
And that's what Ryan Dalziel does. He's a finisher.
Yeah.
He's a great finisher. He can handle this pressure.
Ryan Vickers getting in. That car actually looks pretty good considering it's been on fire. It's had all kind of trauma, as most of these cars have over the last 22 hours.
Yeah, they were lucky that fire didn't
do more. Yeah, it was trying to. That tire was on fire big time.
And these are quite often the stories that you don't see, and particularly what the crew does. They've had to repair that car from a severe fire. As Brian said, they've had to do a gearbox change. It's been a tough old grind, and the crew just soldiers on. And that is one of 4 cars being presented here by the Italian AF Corsa organisation. Here's that fire we were talking about.
Well, he's driving along on a flat tire for a long time trying to get back to pit lane, and the tire just got so hot it burst into flames. Like you said, Calvin, very lucky with carbon fiber that it didn't really get a hold of the bodywork.
Amazing. Amazing. And AF Corsa are literally one of the best GT teams in the business. I mean, I think if they were running ALMS full-time, that Ferrari would be at the front every weekend, because they know how to get the job done. They always employ great drivers. I think Jimmy Bruni is absolutely one of the fastest and most aggressive GT drivers in the world.
And I've heard, to decide who will get the drive next year out of Michael Waltrip or Brian Vickers, it's down to a match play golf scenario. No, I just made that up. But yeah, Michael certainly enjoyed his time here last year. We don't know if he's going to be back next year or if Brian Vickers will be, but certainly valuable experience for both of those guys who are enormously experienced in NASCAR Sprint Cup, and successful, we should add. 1.5 hours remain at Circuit de la Sarthe, and a very comfortable margin up front for our overall leader and the car that has led almost the entire way.
What's kind of neat about that is they had the speed when they needed to, particularly at the beginning. When they dropped the green flag, Lauderer was just unbelievable, opening up the gap over McNish. Now, of course, they have a full 1-lap lead, but it's deserved. It's not just given.
Well, that famous green of the Krohn Racing Ferrari flashed by. There it is. Tracy Krohn behind the wheel at this point in time, running 3rd in class, and now have a 10-lap margin over the 4th place runner, which is the Flying Lizard Group. Seth Nyman behind the wheel right now. So US-based teams currently running 3rd and 4th in the GTE AM division. And for Krohn, that would be their 3rd visit to the podium. They've run here before in conjunction with Risi, of course, over the years in 2007, 2009, but they love this place.
And remember, that car just had a terrible time in the wet at Spa. So this will be a bit of a sweetener for them.
There you see the closing speeds between the prototype and the GT car there, entering the Porsche curves. That's where it can get ugly, as we've seen already today.
Jimmy Bruni is done. Giancarlo Fisichella will take this 51 AF Corsa Ferrari to the line. Andrew is in their pit box with the 3rd driver in that team.
Yeah, Tony Volantis watching this pit stop, and this could be a dream for you, Tony.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, it's 1.5 hours to go. So far it looks good, and now Jimmy comes out from the car, and Giancarlo is taking over, and probably he will go to the end.
How do you feel about it? Would you like to be in the car at the end?
I mean, I think we had enough hours already in the car, so one of our 3 can finish the race, and this time it's probably Giancarlo, so it's okay, and you know, it's a teamwork, and I took the start, so maybe it's okay he finished it.
Okay, very much. Nice interview. Thank you, Guy.
Yeah, there you go. Who said Finns weren't charismatic? Tony smiled.
At the beginning of the race, everybody wants to be in the car, and at the end of the race, it's, nah, you can take it, no problem.
And this is the 42 Greaves Motorsport Nissan, and I believe Martin Brundle will take this car to the finish.
Yeah, his boy did a stellar job in the nighttime hours, did a triple and a quadruple stint, I believe. And talk about a chip off the old block, Alex. I mean, that's like looking at Martin from 30 years ago. Just brilliant stuff. And I'm sure Martin and his wife Liz are very proud of the job that their son have done here this weekend. Guy who's still got his focus on the single-seater ranks, running GP3 this year. And I'm sure he's guided very well by Martin and the whole family.
And this is something that Martin said to us earlier in the week at Scrutineering, and he's also said on camera, this is not about him, it's about doing something with his son appropriately on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads in the UK and in the US as well. And he said it's about that sharing experience with my son and just showing him all the possibilities in motorsport and what you can do.
Ironically, it extends his career, though, doesn't it? It gets him back out there. He's running here at Le Mans. He's going to take the car home to the finish, which is another feather in the hat, another special moment, a memory.
He picked a year where running the way they have would typically get you a top 5 or even on the podium. This year it's just good enough for a top 10, but nonetheless a stunning job by the Greaves Motorsport Group again. Defending champions here at Le Mans in the P2 division.
Quick little highlight package here of what's been going down. One of those multiple tear-offs. I think they can stick something like 12 of those tear-offs on the Audi windshields that just get torn only when necessary throughout the period of the 24 hours here at Le Mans. Boy, haven't those guys worked overtime?
Oh, they really have. They've been up to the task. Top service, as this statement says in the back of the pit box, and they've done it here today. Been thrown a few curveballs. They've dealt with it so efficiently, and the preparation that those guys have before the race even starts is amazing. The rehearsal in terms of the pit stops, changing components, and they do this. They'll spend a day and the engineer will just say, okay, change this, this, and this all around the race car, and they try and figure out the most efficient way of doing it.
And while we're on that subject and riding with this car, Team Corvette has done exactly the same thing, and they're also very, very well prepared. But they've had a dismal year here in 2012 at Le Mans.
Yeah, if you're a betting man, you would have to think that one of these yellow Corvettes would have been knocking on the door at this stage of the race for the win, but just didn't go their way. 73 car had several little problems. For the 74, that really was instigated by that wheel being left adrift there on the pit stop during the nighttime hours.
For our overall race leaders and top LMP1 car, it's the trio of Lotterer, Fessler and Benoit Trellier. If they can hang in there for an hour and 27 minutes, they're going to join a very exclusive club. I'll tell you what club that is when we come back. It's not too late to join the conversation here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in Speed's Social Garage. All you got to do is go to speed.com, follow using the hashtag LM24 on Speed on Twitter, and tell us what you think. We've really enjoyed reading your tweets, I have to say, over the last almost 23 hours, even more than that. The pre-race tweets have been very interesting. Thanks for your questions, your opinions, your thoughts. It's always good to stay in tune with what sports car and motorsport fans think. Look at Brian Vickers. Hey, Speed, check this out. That's Andrew Marriott, our 60-something. We'll leave it at that, 60-something. I think this is Andrew's 40th or 44th Le Mans, and he is still going like the Energizer Bunny.
He's amazing, he certainly is, and we also want to celebrate Greg Creamer's birthday today, as well as Dindo Capello's.
We are standing in a very good chance of some American teams standing on the podium here at Le Mans today. One of those is Krone Racing. Brian, take it away.
Well, I think the important thing that you said, Lee, is team, and Nick Johnson certainly knows about team. You've been with Krone Racing from the beginning. It takes all three of the drivers to do their part. It takes the team to do their part, but I think Tracy Krone, when I look at what he's done over the last several years, the instructing, the coaching that you've done, how impressed are you with his performance?
Yeah, I mean, Tracy done a phenomenal job here, all week, and just the last stint, he ran like, in the 404s, and I think that's a great, performance from a so-called amateur driver, and but as you said, it's all teamwork. The Krone guys have done a phenomenal job preparing this Ferrari 458, and both Miguel and Tracy done a great job through the night as well in the car, and I get to get in once in a while and go out there and ponder on as well, so it's a lot of fun. But I mean, Tracy has come a long way, and as we all know, Tracy, runs the business, on daily basis when, where everybody else is out there practicing, driving race cars, and that's nothing, that he does very often. So it's very impressive, very impressive.
Now, you guys have done some pretty impressive things at teams. You finished second in the ILMC Championship last year. You're running third in WAC this year. You've won Sebring. You've won Petit Le Mans. Podium finishes here. How much of that would you trade for a Le Mans victory?
I probably would trade all of it for that. Winning Le Mans is the pinnacle of sports car racing, and it doesn't look like we're going to catch the guys in front of us with a little bit of luck maybe, but even finish on the podium the first year with the 458, I think it's a great accomplishment, and we are going to have to keep come back to win this, because that's what we want to do. But just to be here, to be in this environment and to kind of enjoy Le Mans 24 hours is a phenomenal experience, and I wish everybody got the opportunity to do that. And I'm here for the 7th year in a row now, and thanks to Tracy and Chrome Racing, of course, and they have put together a great program, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of that, and hopefully we can go to the end here, and have another podium finish here today. It would be fantastic.
With all the success they've had, they still want more. This is one they definitely want, Lee.
And Nick there being very humble, I guess, being a little bit modest, heaping praise on Tracy Krone. The reason why Tracy Krone has come so far in such a short period of time is thanks to Nick Johnson.
Absolutely. I mean, Nick is a great guy, fantastic driver, and he just has a great personality and is so patient and willing to work with young drivers who he trains and coaches, and also obviously Tracy, who's been a long-time partner now as a co-driver in a number of different classes and series over the years, and also a big day for them in terms of points. As Dorsey said at the beginning of the show, double points here today, Dorsey, for the World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, and as all of us know, Calvin, you and me both, and Brian Till, having been instructors, not everybody can be an effective instructor and be a race car driver themselves. You have to put yourself aside, your ego aside, and really work with someone to make them better.
I'm not sure Lee would make a good instructor. He's way too impatient.
Yeah, patience is not going to be...
Trying to get him to train me how to get out of a bunker for about 10 years now. He's useless.
Dorse, I've given up. I've given up.
Dynamite, mate. You need dynamite.
I've given up.
I can help you.
This man here has far from given up. Alan McNish. And it's a shame that our attention naturally defaults to that era in the Porsche curves, because this number 2 team, Christensen, Capello, McNish, have driven so well in this race.
How hard is Alan pushing? How about a 324.2, boys?
Well, I've been watching it, and I can tell you, I know he's pushing. He's really driving the wheels off the car right now. It's all he's got left, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing else he can do, is just go as hard as he possibly can now, not make another error.
Dorsey, it's literally a couple of hundredths of a second away from the fastest lap of the race. And interestingly enough, Audi new man, Loic Duval, the French driver, has set the fastest lap in this 24 Hours of Le Mans for the last 3 years in succession. He owns the race lap record at a 3:19.0. That was set back in 2010. Last year he did a 3:25.1. This year he's done a 3:24.1, a full second faster, and McNish is right on his heels of matching that or bettering that lap time.
The irony is here, he's just a few seconds behind the lead number 1 car, and I think this would have been the battle, but on the same lap. Right now, Alan is trying to chase down the number 1 and get back on the lead lap. He's exactly 1 lap down, plus a few seconds. And remember, he lost 6 minutes with the car being repaired in the garage under a safety caution period, which is about a 6-minute lap.
When we went to that last commercial break, I told you if this trio can stay where they are for a little more than an hour and a quarter, they'll join an exclusive club. That club are Le Mans winners who do it in back-to-back or hat-trick style. There are not many of them. You think about this has been the 80th running of this event. It's a very exclusive club, and listen to the names. In 61 and 62, back-to-back wins for Phil Hill and Olivier Gendebien in the Ferrari. 73-74, and these winners were honoured almost 24 hours ago. Henri Pescarolo and Gerard Larousse in the Matra. Jackie Ickx and Derek Bell, the father of our own Justin, in 1981-82 in the Porsche. In 86-87, Hans Stuck, Derek Bell and Al Holbert in the Porsche 962. And then a hat-trick of wins. In 2000, 2001, 2002 for Frank Biela, Tom Christensen and Emanuele Pirro in the Audi R8. And in 06, 07, this is the last example of back-to-back wins for Biela, Pirro and Marco Werner. It has not happened that many times over the 80th running of this event. And we're looking at it there for this successful trio in the #1 car in an hour and a quarter to add their names to that list. Back at Le Mans in time to see the race-leading car perform its second last pit stop.
Will look routine. Dr. Ulrich starts to do the TV interviews as we approach the final hour.
And a reminder that it's not too late for Corvette fans to get up amongst the Speed Onboard Pass presented by Chevrolet Corvette. We're working with our partners at Chevrolet for the ultimate two-screen experience. You can see the onboards and the pit camera as well. It's been well visited and much appreciated. One thing I forgot to mention there, just enjoying watching that #1 Audi stop, was the windshield. There was no tear-off being torn. It was just the windshield being clean. And there's obviously a very proud link and correlation between what happens in Audi sports car racing to what trickles down the line directly to their road cars. Something as simple as the screen cleaner that they use here at Le Mans is the same as what the Audi windshield cleaner goes in their production cars. The technology, the TDI technology, the ultra lightweight technology, carbon fiber now becoming part of road cars, domestic use road cars. And Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich mentioned that in a matter of perhaps as quick as 2 years, this e-tron hybrid technology will be evident in Audi's road cars. It's simply incredible. People think motorsport is a luxury and somewhat of a waste. It's not. It's developing what transitions into our road cars that we drive Monday through Sunday is developed right here in front of our eyes at Le Mans.
LED lights on the front of the back.
Absolutely.
Same thing on the cars. On my golf cart
this year, so they're taking what they have on the road cars also and bringing it to the race car. It's really a crossover of technology. It works both ways, but racing is certainly the ultimate test bed. Stop here for the #41 machine. They're having a decent run here today.
Routine so far, just tires and fuel.
Currently in the fifth spot. Elton Julian behind the wheel. Bit confused when we saw that Ecuador flag on the side of the cockpit this week. For a long time he was known as an American, doing great things over in Europe, and great to see him revive his career. He's on the fast track to Formula One there for a while, and lost him for a few years, but he's rekindled the fire and now doing a great job in a variety of different classes.
Going way, way, way back. He was one of my students at the old Skip Barber Racing School. Elton Julian was, and that's many, many years ago. Good guy.
He doesn't look that old, Elton.
It's I told you, a long time ago.
This is the 6th place car outright and in LMP1. It is the JRM HPD Honda, one of only 2 running in the LMP1 class. The other, of course, is the Stracker car, which has really had its fair share of troubles today as well. Not going as well as what Stracker's run in LMP2 has gone in previous years.
I don't want to jinx that car, Calvin. I said yesterday that was one of my favorite schemes as far as the colors of the car. It just looks like it hasn't been through the 24 hours that it's been through, or 23.
Is a sharp-looking car. And one thing that surprised me, I know Henri Pescarolo spoke to Greg Creamer earlier this morning about the great divide between the factory with their diesel technology and now the hybrid technology, but I was kind of surprised at the non-factory teams, the delta there, the difference between their lap times with petrol power and the Toyota hybrid with petrol power as well. I mean, the hybrid makes a bit of a difference. I'd guesstimate. You can see the Audis here today. You said Loic Duval has the fastest race lap with 9 hybrid technology. So if you relate that over to the Toyota, you'd think, okay, the hybrid's worth a little bit, but you'd expect the other petrol-powered cars to be that much closer. But that's really the difference, I guess, between a manufacturer and a private team in terms of the resources and the development of the car as well.
And we spoke with Stefan Gervais at the Rebellion team and said, so are we correct in assuming that the power plant you have, the Toyota power plant you have, is on par with what the Works hybrids have? And he said, absolutely not. Right. He said it's a completely different power plant. We could not get word out of Toyota as to the specifics of theirs. We know how effective the Toyota Rebellions work, and there we see that difference right there. And look at that, the man who flew at Le Mans. He's certainly not the only one. Feeling a bit sore today, but generally just happy to be alive. Ant Davidson.
Wow.
2 broken vertebrae. And here it is one more time for those of you who have not seen it. Really worrying scenes here. Very scary.
200-mile-per-hour crash in the flight.
This incident is very different to the one with McNish, the Ferrari. Here, there's an amateur driver behind the wheel of that Ferrari who just turned in on Anthony Davidson and sent him into flight. Anthony, fortunately, is feeling sore but okay, he said, but 2 cracked vertebrae, but has a great attitude about it all, and they're saying maybe 2 to 3 months before he'll see any more action behind the wheel.
Oh, and this is the race performance LMP2 car. Look at it, get air as well.
That's a rough ride right there.
You gotta feel that split is going to get broken there. Quite remarkable how strong those front splitters are on these prototypes these days.
I think what was most confronting about that, the Ferrari-Toyota prototype confrontation between Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Ant Davidson, was when Andrew fought very, very hard to speak with Perezzini. There was very little remorse. I mean, he said it was a racing incident, but not even I hope that Davidson is okay. He was pretty cold and clinical about it.
Well, I think the reason the incidents happen, Lee, is because they don't understand why. Yeah. And afterwards, they still don't understand how it happened.
Well, and I suspect he's in shock. I mean, that Ferrari was upside down. He had to get out of that and so forth. I'm sure he wasn't mentally prepared for anything like what he had just gone through. But nonetheless, I mean, you have to have your wits about you to be a race car driver, don't you?
Dorsey saying he wasn't mentally prepared to be confronted by our Andrew Marriott.
I don't know anybody that's prepared for that.
Yeah. Andrew's done a tremendous job down there.
Yes,
Just love the passion, and someone I certainly look up to in this industry. It's great to see him on pit lane here at Le Mans once again.
Well, he just gets right in there, doesn't he? He digs around in there. They throw him out, but he gets in there.
This is what the French World Feed director calls art, and it was a nice shot. The super slow-mos have been spectacular throughout this broadcast and race today. We appreciate that. And speaking of the super slow-mos, here we go.
And we never know what we're going to see.
And that is the beauty of Le Mans, Dors, what you just said. We never know what we're going to see each and every year. What about that man there? Is this the beginning of a long, long career with Audi? Marco Bononomi. The 4 is in 3rd place at the moment. Car number 4 is in 3rd place at the moment.
I think if you told him when you said you're going to be running at Le Mans for the first time, would you accept a podium finish for Marco Bononomi? He would have said absolutely.
I would say so, yeah.
Just say yes and more, please. Approaching the final hour mark as the 35 Oak prototype comes to a stop. This car with Maxime Martin behind the wheel is 14th overall.
Ran so well early.
It certainly did. We heard from David Hannemeyer Hansen a little earlier, Baz Linders. These guys have done a really solid job today. Nothing has changed class-wise. Still Giancarlo Fisichella for the AF Corse Ferrari with a healthy advantage over Fred Makowicki in the luxury 458 Ferrari. And Adrian Fernandez in the Works Aston Martin is 3rd in class. Tell us more about that Aston Martin, Brian.
Lee, there was a report of fluid out of the back of the Aston Martin, so I came down and checked with the crew, and crew chief, who we refer to as Woody, Jonathan Woodward. Woody says that it's not a problem. They may have a little bit of fluid coming out the back, but they're not concerned about it with just a little over an hour to go. So right now, at least, 97 looks like they have a podium finish in sight.
They always say that, though, don't they? Oh, that's nothing. And then about a lap later.
Tell you what, it's a great run for that Vantage. Everyone thought it had potential here to be fast. It certainly proved that. And with a team like ProDrive essentially running these factory Vantages for the first time, the Vantages have been out there for a few years now, but this is the first time that factory has run it. And once again, we see their experience. They've won the GT1 category back in 2007 and 8, I believe, and come back and immediately a factor.
4 class leaders as they run, coming up to the final hour mark. Stay with us.
Speed's coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans is brought to you by Chevrolet Corvette, celebrating 60 years of exhilaration. And by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. Be a hero. GoPro.
And the call goes out across the various radios to the drivers. We have entered the final hour at Le Mans. And that is welcome news.
These guys will need to hit pit lane again. You do a 12-lap run, it's about 41 minutes. We've got about an hour on the board, of course. So they won't need a full fuel load on the next one, but a splash.
They'll be just setting up for the camera shots when they come for that last one.
So a quick shot in the Audi pit box of Loic Duval, the French driver, kitted up, helmet on, hands device on, ready to go. So more than likely he will take over from Marc Gené to bring it home and see the checkered flag.
That's good for him too. Young men get to do a thing like that. Fastest race lap.
He is quick.
Yeah, he's quick.
That boy is really quick. I mean, one thing about Audi, they don't rest on their laurels. Seen a change into the guard. Obviously, Emanuele Pirro and Frank Biela have gradually been weaned off the full-time driving squad, still doing stuff with GT and ambassador roles with Audi, but certainly this new breed of drivers they're brought in are starting to come to the forefront quickly.
It's like a good football team, isn't it? Good baseball team, good basketball team, whatever the sport may be. You've got your celebrated heroes, but you've got to equally keep as much attention on where the next breed is coming, the next group is coming through, and Audi have done that very successfully over the years. To Justin Bell, hi mate, welcome back.
Hi Lee, I was just thinking as you were saying that, as long as they don't apply it to broadcast teams, we're all right.
Oh Lord.
Look down here, touche, eh? So as we look down the pit lane, remember, not one person in that pit lane went anywhere overnight. They were here on deck, in the stand, doing their job, even though they were asleep at times, because the teams had to work through the night. But as we turn around here, the fans are back. Those early morning shots of the odd person sitting curled up next to a beer bottle, they've gone. You've got the Danes out, you've got groups of English up there. Most of them have clothes on. It's spectacular. The sun's out. But they're here because of one very important reason. Look up there, the Rolex clock, the famous clock, Le Mans clock, is now showing 57 minutes, 33 seconds. Everybody sort of fixates on that. It's an iconic image here at Le Mans, and somewhere, someone in town has the original clock. Imagine what that's worth to a collector. But this is the goal. As you mentioned earlier, I think during the nightly, the financial award for Le Mans is pennies, maybe 50,000 euro, which is the catering budget for a lot of these teams. But that's it up there. I've got one of the small trophies at home, as I know Scott Pruitt does, but the big one in the middle, that is a significant achievement for any driver. They just put those trophies out. The big one stayed up all night, but they just put out all the class winners. It's incredible to think that this is a race where it's not about money, it's all about stature in your community. And you heard earlier Nick Johnson saying he would swap every success he's ever had for one at Le Mans. And I remember Nigel Mansell saying to Dad once, I would swap a lot. So did Mario Andretti. I would swap a lot of my victories to win here at Le Mans. So it's all heating up in these last 57 minutes. I hate to use the word, Lee, you know, you're in survival mode, but right now, as we've seen out there, everybody has one thing left. They've got 56 minutes or so to go.
It's everything you've got left. Thanks, mate. That was a beautiful piece and very timely. Pardon the pun, standing in front of the clock. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? The countdown is on in earnest now. Tom Christensen is behind the wheel of the 2. Mike Rockenfeller will finish out in the 4. Gené's still behind the wheel of the 3. And up front, top of the tree, Andre Lotterer. It's deja vu all over again, isn't it, for the young German. He's going to get to drive that #1 car to the checkered flag.
I think we're all sitting here somewhat disappointed because of Alan's incident on the racetrack, and Dorsey and I are talking about the fact that you make those decisions literally hundreds of times during a race, and we tend to focus on when it all goes wrong. But I think for the fans sitting in the stands and for everyone here, You know, we just wanted to see that battle go right down to the wire because it was shaping up so beautifully. Potentially seeing Andre Lauderer, who nicknamed him Andre the Giant, going up against Tom, who's really the king of Le Mans with 8 victories. That was going to be fascinating to watch, and we're not going to see that here today, maybe next year.
And this is the reason why. It was cars 1 and 2 just seconds apart. Alan McNish just pushing it perhaps a little too far, trying to get on the inside of the then second place GTE Pro car for luxury racing, spinning, colliding with the barrier, damaging the car, had to come to pit lane. It was a full course caution and safety car intervention. It cost him some 6 minutes, put him a lap and 3/4 down, and that was, at that point in time and right to now, irretrievable.
Just those split decisions that you make.
Yep.
And he was pushing up against a Ferrari that was pushing hard to chase down the leader in their respective class.
And like I said before, there's so many variables. You pass that same car so many times during the 23 hours, but it's got 3 different drivers. They all have different ways of doing business, and you never know what to expect. And those are split-minute decisions you have to make.
This car now taken control of by Loic Duval is the lowest place works Audi. Remember, 4 Audis this year, 4 works Audis. We've never seen that at Le Mans before, and Loic Duval is in 5th place at the moment. Think about the celebration at the privateer team Rebellion Racing with the Toyota power plant to come here. It's really a David and Goliath battle. For them to finish ahead of just one of the works Audis, to them that's like winning the race. That's an enormous accomplishment.
Yeah, it's just been a brilliant run, and those guys have done such a superb job behind the wheel. Neil Yanni.
You guys didn't call me out on the split-minute decision there. I think it was supposed to be split second. You're getting used to me.
No, we're just tired.
That's why you wish it was a split-minute decision.
I have to say, someone we haven't really spoken about much in that 12 car, of course, is Nick Heidfeld, who hasn't raced here at Le Mans since 1999 when he was part of the Mercedes CLK squad. So great to see Nick back at Le Mans doing a tremendous job. Maybe he'll see future years now that his Formula One career seems to have curtailed somewhat.
And in one of those fascinating stories, Cal, in motorsport about who do you know, who did you work with back in the day, Nick Heidfeld's engineer when he was at Jordan is a gentleman by the names of James Robinson. James Robinson works at Rebellion now and said, hey, why don't we get Nick Heidfeld in here? Let's get Nick back to Le Mans. And it has worked very effectively. To Justin Bell.
Well, they bought the 61, as we know, from fires to other issues, and impacts has been brought into the garage, and Brian Vickers just got out, but Rob Kaufman got in, and as we know, his name is somewhat synonymous with 2011 Le Mans, not necessarily in a good way, but Rob's, you know, sincere about trying to do a decent job here. But they just, what they often do with cars, and for fans at home who say, why are they taking so long? Isn't the race is going on? When you're a lot of laps behind, all the team want to do is make sure they participate in the last few laps of the race. So they're buckling Rob in. After all, he does sponsor this effort. And I'm looking at the hand signals. They're actually explaining to him he can't flat shift. I could just see it by the way the engineer was talking to him, Calvin. He was showing him with his hand he had to back off between shifts instead of flat shift. So I imagine they got a transmission weakness there. Rob's going to go out. But I'll say, I did this at the Rolex this year. Very, very hard to go out at the end of the race and not get in anyone's way. So puts a lot of pressure on the driver, and of course Rob will have some memories fresh in his mind. 61 will be going out, but it's been great to see Brian Vickers really get his way through this whole race. He had a look on his face just a minute ago as, won't this thing ever break?
Won't this race ever finish?
Yes.
And if they've got transmission problems, what they may try and do is get him into his fuel window where they can send it out of the pit lane, and no need for him to come back and go through that procedure, which puts a lot of strain on the drivetrain.
So Rob Kaufman gets to take the car home, and that will be a more pleasurable moment than it was last year when he was asked to sit the end of the race out. Dramatic scenes when Brian Vickers was behind the wheel a little earlier in the race, but that was rectified pretty quickly. The racing doesn't stop today with Le Mans. Big day in NASCAR Sprint Cup out at Michigan, where speeds have been in excess of 200 miles per hour. And tomorrow night here on Speed, NASCAR Race Hub presented by Ram will have all of the dirt and news from Michigan. Larry Mack will be on the show, so too Elliott Sadler. All the breaking news from the world of NASCAR and talking about who won and who did not. Race Hub presented by Ram tomorrow, 6 Eastern, only on Speed.
Who's on the pole?
I'm not allowed to say. I think I'm over my allocation of Australian mentions. But Marcus Ambrose is at a record speed of 203 miles per hour. Hey, we don't have any Americans in the Audi squad as far as drivers, but we certainly do as far as key personnel. Here's Brad Kedler. He's with Brian.
Well, yeah, if you're a race fan, especially a sports car fan, an American Le Mans Series fan in the United States, you know Brad Kettler worked for Champion Racing, and they'll know you from your successes here, too. You know, Brad, the drivers, they're the quarterbacks. They're the stars. They're the one who get all the attention, but you guys are the linemen. How difficult is it to put a team together that can work together, just like a line does in football, and make sure these pit stops are flawless?
Well, one of the things that we do is we do a lot of long-distance tests, and I mean, all the guys here from Yost Racing, from Audi Sport are phenomenal. They work together really, really well. And we do a lot of these long tests, some of them 30 hours long. And so what we hope to do when we get into these big races is to fall into a routine where, you know, everybody, you know, is hitting their marks and knows what they're doing, and we try to get into a routine, and after a while it comes pretty natural.
So you're testing the team as well as the car, but for you guys to have all the parts, to have all the pieces, to have all of that in place, the planning for this race, when did it start?
It started last year, the day after the race. I mean, that's what Ralph Uettner always says, and it's 100% right. I mean, very few people really understand the depth of the dedication of how much stuff we bring here, and you know, the way that the pieces are all pre-fitted, and the levels that we go to prepare everything. And you know, we bring spares that are on top of spares, and you know, each number one on the cars, like Ronnie on this car, he knows all those parts, he knows all the numbers, he knows all the settings on them, and we've had them all on the car, we've put them all on the car, we've weighed the car in all different combinations. So we're pretty confident in what we have behind us here, and as you've seen with the amount of stuff that we've had to fix through this race, that they've been coming back out of the garage pretty quick. They go in hurt, they come out fighting.
Audi top service. Good luck, Brad. If he can hold on to this one, it'll be his third victory. And they do put all the right pieces in place. When you watch the next pit stop, the guy that leans over and cleans the windshield has got to be 6'7", 6'8", or whatever. These guys have planned out everything, including the men that are going to clean the windshield.
Yeah, Brad is a top man. Of course, won here with Champion in 2005 and Audi, and was involved with orchestrating the win here last year. Whoa, that's wide, and in Mulsanne. That was a mistake.
That's the Thierry by TDS Racing prototype, trying to keep it back on track. That's a top 5 car in LMP2. What's the update in GT-AM? Let's give it to you right now. That fight continues. There's only 28 seconds between the Porsche you see right there at the head of the queue. That's Nicholas Armindo, who's done a super job for Raymond Narrick's IMSA Performance Matmut team. Here is that prototype running wide at Mulsanne corner. And a lucky escape.
Yeah, it shows you not everybody's just on cruise and collect mode.
That's Pierre Rague behind the wheel of that car. The number 50 Corvette with Pedro Lamy, as I mentioned, 29 seconds in arrears. That fight for honours in GTE Pro is going to go right down to the checkered flag. And in GTE Pro, nothing has changed. Fisichella, Makowicki, Adrian Fernandez, 2 Ferraris and an Aston Martin in the top 3. Jan Magnussen is now behind the wheel of the 73 car and sits 5th in class in GTE Pro.
That AM class is going to be fascinating. I'm not sure what pit cycle they are between the 67 Porsche and the 50 Corvette, but it's going to be really tight. Just under half a minute between them now.
.42 minutes left on the clock. It seems to be going quickly in this final hour, doesn't it?
Whoa, that was tight.
And you can see even right at the end of this race, still high-risk moves are being taken. To pit lane and Justin Bell. Justin?
Yeah, Lee, an interesting story that really has just snuck up on us is down here in the 49 Oreca Nissan P2 pits. They're lying 3rd. And they have had no issues during the night. They've steadily worked their way up, and they're on spot track for a third place podium position. Back there you can see Pappy from Arica. There he is waving at us. I worked with him back in the day. So although Arica are out in their formal involvement with Toyota, they're still very much involved with a podium team here. It just shows that they didn't have the outright pace a lot of the time, but if you don't have a mistake, you're going to get up there and get one of those nice gold trophies.
That's the way it works, mate. You've been there. You've got a great history here at Le Mans like your father, and you just need a little bit of guidance here in this last hour to make sure you don't trip yourself up.
Getting through this race nowadays without getting tripped up or tripping yourself up, either one, is so hard to do because of the level of commitment that all these guys are pushing to. You know, I mean, it's just a flat-out 24-hour sprint race. It gets down to this last hour and it kind of settles down and you can see where you are with the thing, but trouble-free, man, it's almost impossible.
Well, that's appropriate you say that, Dawes, because revisiting the storyline with both the Works Corvettes, these new wider body C6Rs, the 74 just dominated the early running of this race. It couldn't have been any better for the 74 car, and it was extending its lead. There were some early frustrations for the 73, and then for respective problems, it just all went away from the familiar yellow, the thunderous roar of the Chevrolet Corvettes here at Le Mans. For Ollie Gavin, he is down in 34th position overall. We did mention just briefly ago that Jan Magnussen was in the top 5. What? I was about to say, what had happened there? What kind of a replay did we get there? This is Ollie Gavin, out of contention for a solid result. And really, when you have a history like Corvette racing here at Le Mans, nothing really matters other than standing on the top step.
That's right, and he tweeted earlier this morning, he just said, such a shame that we've had this drama because the car was really, really mega. Super fast as it rolled off the truck here on Wednesday. Immediately the quickest guy in first round of qualifying. Didn't quite grab the pole, ended up qualifying third, but nonetheless, we expected them to be leading or in contention for the win in the final hour of this race.
And again, seeing how strong the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari has been. Remember, they wrecked a car earlier in the weekend. The team scrambled just to make the final 30 minutes of practice and qualifying to get that car out there. Now they have dominated the latter stages of this race. How good it would have been to see one of these Works Corvettes go up against the top-tier Ferrari.
And we really thought that would happen. We really thought because of the depth of the field, the depth of the talent at Corvette and over at Ferrari, that we would have this just miracle shootout at the end. Unfortunately, a lot of things can happen in the 24-hour Le Mans.
And in a shootout, this Ferrari may have been too strong for the Corvette here. I think the Corvette felt that they were close enough to the ultimate pace, yet their strategy and their consistency and their durability of the machine would be enough to pull them through. But that Ferrari has had a great run.
Here's the latest tweet from the 79 Flying Lizard pilot, Spencer Pumpelly. Got out of the car delirious and loopy. Totally forgot to say Happy Father's Day to my dad during my speed interview. Well, Spence, we've just taken care of that for you. And a little further down the road this year, Spencer himself will become a father. His wife, Lindsay, is pregnant. We congratulate them. Did they tell us what's coming along? They got a little girl?
Don't know yet. They don't know yet. They're supposed to do that in a week or so.
I know someone who's got a little girl on the way. Little short bloke sitting beside Dorsey and myself. Happy Father's Day to you in a year, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Tuesday night here on Speed, Hard Parts South Bronx is all new. Joe has never backed down from a challenge, we know that. But this time the stakes are personal. Can he go a day without eating and still keep his clients satisfied? Catch an all-new Hard Parts. It's a new day and time, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. The number one race leading car is in with 34 minutes to go.
Should be the final run down pit lane.
Last one of the 24-hour Enduro, Brian.
Last one, and imagine the emotion for Andre Lauder sitting behind that wheel right now, trying to control that motion and focus on those remaining minutes. He's got to go out and do his job. It has to be mistake-free. We've seen how just one lapse in judgment, one moment in time can steal a victory away, and he needs to control that for the remainder of this event. As Lauder out away, looking for another checker flag. 2 in a row is what he hopes for.
As he mentioned to you, Brian, in his earlier interview, he said you got to keep pushing to maintain that rhythm, otherwise you will make that mistake. We've seen it from the best in the business. Remember Ayrton Senna in that infamous Monaco Grand Prix when he had a massive lead, tried to ease off the pace a little bit and just threw it into the fence inexplicably. Doesn't want to see the same thing happen today for Andre.
Time to check in one more time with Andrew Marriott. Take it away, mate.
Yeah, look, here's a quiz question. Do you know what that flag is? That's the flag of Ecuador, and that says Elton Julian, because Elton Julian is really an American, but in fact, going back many years, I think it's 6 generations, your great, whatever it was, grandfather was Simon Bolivar the Liberator.
This is right. This is true. I mean, I was raised in Quito, Ecuador, and moved to the States when I was really young, and grew up with a dual nationality. Did most of my racing as an American at first, and was out of it for a long time. And now, you know, grandparents are getting old, and it's kind of fun to fly the flag and make everybody happy.
Now, when I first knew you, you were racing in Formula 3000, in fact, for a famous British disc jockey called Kid Jensen, and indeed you had a contract as a test driver at LaRousse F1. You got close to F1, Elton.
Yeah, well, we got closer than that, actually. We were signed to do our first Grand Prix before LaRousse went bust, as happens to so many people. Never really got a real shot at it again, but it kind of segued into sports cars, which I'm super grateful happened because I really enjoy it now.
Now, you had some problems in the Greaves Motorsport 42 car here. You're the pro here, but the last half of the race has been going well, and I think you've driven most of the time.
No, I have to say our car has been flawless. We had a very strict plan, a very specific strategy that we stuck to all week. I'm super proud of the crew, the drivers, and the discipline everybody showed to keep their head down and really do the job, because at times we didn't look too flash, but we understood what we were trying to do, and I think we've maximized our opportunity.
Thanks very much. You see, here on Speed, you get geography as well as motor racing.
You've given us a little bit of everything today, Andrew. Thank you very much. Krone Racing in for the final time. The run to the line, and the big story for the boys from Brazelton is that there is a podium on the line. And to me, that looks like Tracy's going to take it home.
It does.
Why not?
Hard to distinguish because the boys lost 20-odd pounds here in the last few months. Been on a fitness regime since Sebring, the opener.
Look at the Audis, guys lined up, 1-2.
1 and 2 on track. Now, following its last outing in a World Championship in 1987 and the Touring Car World Cup victory in 1995, this is the first time Audi has partaken in a World Championship. Remember the story within a story. This is more than just Le Mans. This is the next round of the WEC, the FIA-sanctioned World Endurance Championship, of which Audi leads coming into this 24 Hours of Le Mans. This is massive. One of the rounds in this World Endurance Championship is China, and China is now the most important single market for Audi where sales are concerned. There is racing of importance and a drive and objective on a whole different level.
See these Audis running pretty close to one another. This is cool.
Thanks to the Toyota guys who came to apologize this morning, including Kazuki Nakajima, appreciated, and that's from Highcroft Racing, the guys behind the Delta Wing project. So they're appreciative of that. A couple of Japanese drivers coming together. It was certainly not intentional.
Shows some class, though, doesn't it?
Number 1 car just allowed Tom Christensen back onto the lead lap. Wouldn't read too much into that. I believe Tom needs a splash of fuel here to get to the finish.
Plus, I think it also means that the order is written in stone.
Brian?
Nicholas Armando has come in the IMSA Performance Porsche leader in GT-AM. This team has won in the GT category before in 2007 with team leader and team owner Ray Narek behind the wheel, but right now they're going to hand over to Anthony Pons. They did not change Michelin tires, so these tires are warm. Pons, he stalls at leaving the pits. The 50 will get by here. They were very close on the racetrack. Pons now underway. Should be interesting to note, this 2011 Porsche has been incredibly fast in a straight line. It was probably better than the 2011 Corvette, so he may have a very good car right now. Anthony Pons down the track trying to win his class. Justin?
Yeah, the 50 just came in. It was a very tight pit stop for them because the car in front was jamming them in, and he just happened to get going. Remember, that was a very important pit stop for position. The Labra Corvette guys just did a fantastic job. The car looks pretty well worn, but you know, right now they did not take tires. They just did fuel. Driver stayed in the car. I mean, with 28 minutes to go, you don't want to change anything if you can help it.
Well, neither one of those cars could afford to take tires. It would have cost them time on pit lane with 28 minutes to go. You got to roll the dice. This is going to be a fascinating battle between that Porsche and Corvette. I'd say they're probably less than 15 seconds apart as they hit the racetrack once again.
And for the team, which we stress team at 67, IMSA Performance Matmut, for Anthony Pons and Raymond Narek, they really should thank Nicolas Armindo. He has been a rock star here today, the young French driver in only his second 24-hour of Le Mans. He raced for the same team last year. They did not get the result anywhere near the result that they're poised to get here. And every time he's been behind the wheel, he's taken that Porsche to the lead of the class.
Yeah, I mean, he's been phenomenal. And Porsche versus Corvette, I mean, their lap times have been very similar during the course of this race. It's now down to Pedro Lamy, who for so long we've seen in the major prototypes here at Le Mans. Now in a GT car, can he chase down that Porsche for the victory? And Labra, who are the defending class winners here at Le Mans.
Many of you will be tuning in, NASCAR fans, knowing that Brian Vickers is making his rookie performance at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Pleased to say that the AF Corsa Waltrip Ferrari is still running. Brian is behind the wheel. He's bringing it home, and he's 5th or 6th in class. So for all of the adversity that they've endured, that AF Corsa Waltrip car is still running well with the NASCAR man behind the wheel. See you in a moment.
Speed's coverage of the 24 Hours of Le Mans is brought to you by Rolex, official timekeeper of the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
23.5 minutes remain here at Circuit de la Sarthe for the 80th running of Le Mans. Car number 2, Tom Christensen, the 8-time winner, has just entered pit road, and we are not reading anything too much into it yet, but strangely, car number 1, Andre Lotterer, slowed dramatically out on the track while we're in that commercial break. Let several cars by, and this is kind of weird because that car is topped up. It's good to go to the end. Why is car 1 running slow? Is this thing far from over?
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but certainly Lotterer was way off the pace, let a couple of prototypes by. I mean, he's got 4 minutes in hand here with TK's pit stop, but nonetheless, we saw him weaving around a little bit. Could have just been the undulation in the road. I'm trying not to read too much into this. This is TK's final stop. Probably a time fuel load here with 22 minutes to go. He only essentially needs half a fuel load, which is only 29 litres, 58-litre tank on this diesel hybrid.
Looks like the 1 is back up to proper running speed. Brian, tell us more.
I just looked in at Brad Kettler and asked him if everything was okay. He says, yes, Brad, they're a little off the pace. Were they just lining up? What's up?
Trying to get the picture lined up.
Trying to get the picture. Yep, you want the victory, but you want the picture too. So right now, getting things sorted out.
Oh, they're doing it right here. Look, they're holding TK to wait for the number 1.
That's what I said. It was written in stone when they let him by to get the lap back. I said, okay.
Then he can do his pit stop, and then they'll come out close together. And
here comes the 1.
Decision's been made, and it's going to come out.
Here comes the 1 now, flashing by.
Yep. All right, so no dramas there. That's all scripted.
And no 1, 2, 3, 4 for Audi like it was once upon a time. There's a man from Le Mans, literally born and raised here, Sebastian Bourdais. His time with Pescarolo in 2012 not going quite to plan.
There's the 3 car. Just got to wait for TK to catch these boys up. Plenty of time to get the job done.
Oh, yeah. He's coming.
Tough day for the Pescarolo team.
Yeah. They work so hard on that car, just in and out of the garage all night long, but they're going to get it back out there.
I think they recognized their fate early. They know it was going to be a long day. They were starting the other car, of course, with only 2 drivers after an incident the other night with Jean-Christophe Bouillon.
Think about this when you think about Audi at Le Mans. We first saw them in 1999. but pretty much all involved don't really count 1999. They count it from 2000 onwards. They weren't too proud of the cars that they turned out in 1999, the year that BMW was victorious here at Le Saff. But think about this. They will have won, and in, what are we, 20 minutes, 15 seconds time, either the car number 1 or car number 2 is going to win on debut with that hybrid technology, the e-tron Quattro. They will have won with the R8, the R10 TDI, the R15 TDI Plus, the R18 TDI Ultra, and here this year on debut with the R18 e-tron Quattro. Quite an incredible accomplishment. Not quite sure what that is down at JRM, but they're pleased and proud.
Well, we got a trophy for something. Back to our ultra slow-mo, some of the coolest pictures.
Let's update you on that fascinating battle in, well, 2 of them actually, in LMP2 and also GTE-AM. Ryan Dial for the American Starworks team continues to lead and is under 20 minutes away from a victory in only his 2nd run at Le Mans. The Krone car keeps to the inside line and allows one of the Audis by. And in GTE-AM, let's pick it up with Pons still has a very narrow margin over the 2nd place car of Pedro Lamy. I think that battle's going to go the way of Pedro Lamy and the Labra Competition Corvette.
Yeah, certainly very tight. And Lamy, I believe, may have just taken the lead in that class. As I'm watching timing and scoring, he's suddenly shown the 50 ahead of the 67, so he made short work of that 10-second gap.
Jamie standing by at IMSA Performance Matmut with a guy we called a rock star. Nicholas Armindo, Jamie, did a wonderful job today.
He did. He had a fantastic stint, Nicholas. Lots of eyes watching on in the closing stages of this race. In what condition is this Porsche for the checkered flag?
Yeah, we were really pushing the last stint, and unfortunately we were unlucky yesterday with the headlights, and we lost 4 minutes in the pits. And of course, we had a lot of speed. I was pushing very hard to keep distance to the Corvette, but finally it looked like, it's not finished, but it looked like that we gave everything, but they did no mistake. They had no trouble, mechanic trouble, and they can finish without any problem.
Do you think it's going to come down to the battle? Do you think you guys can hold them off?
I don't think it makes sense to fight too hard because it's 24-hour race, and Anthony is a little bit slower than Pedro, and I think the best is to finish a race now, and we see what's happened. Maybe they have in the last 10 minutes no luck. I don't wish for them that problem, but it can happen.
Thank you.
There you go.
Pictures tell the story.
You saw it. Yeah.
Porsche is now in 2nd spot behind the Corvette of Pedro Lamy, as you're watching him right now come through that karting corner after the Porsche curves, and about 3 seconds back there is Pons in the now 2nd place Porsche in class.
And it's all for this race, because this team, this French IMSA Performance Matmut team, are not a full-time WEC World Endurance Championship team, whereas Labra Competition are, so it's a double win, it's a double whammy for Pedro Lamy. I didn't mean to say that, honestly. I didn't mean you did. I'd already committed. I was already too right.
Oh, God.
Oh, tiredness will do terrible things to you, won't it?
Write it down, Rick Rad.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he said it.
I think, have I officially gone into the Dorseyism?
Yeah, you're in there. You're in there.
It's a good one. This is tough, and I agree with you, Lee. I think that team, that Matmut team, really got their sums wrong in terms of having to get Armindo out, probably up on his driver log time, and you've got to have your finisher in. It always has the potential to come down to a shootout, and they didn't have the best bullet in their gun at the end.
And it's the same story no matter where you are, whether you're at Spa, whether you're at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, whether you're here at Le Mans. It doesn't matter. In endurance racing, it's all about minimizing that time on pit road. You heard Armindo tell Jamie we lost about 4 minutes with some headlight issues. Give them 4 minutes now, they would be comfortably out in front of that Labra competition Corvette. But Jack LeConte's operation at Labra, they are endurance specialists. So too for these boys here. But it hasn't gone their way. The Works Corvette boys, it's been a tough year at Le Mans. June 28th here on Speed. That is a Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The trucks, the toughest truckers, the NASCAR Camping World Truck competitors, head to the Bluegrass State, Kentucky, and you can see it live here on Speed. That is action-packed for sure. We've come to love. It's one of the toughest series in the world. Super Slow-Mos again. We welcome you back to Le Mans. We're going to take this all the way to the checkered flag. There's just a little over 11 minutes remaining. And wait till we go back to live world feed pictures, because the Audis are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not necessarily in the race, because Nico Prost holds the outright 4th position. But what I mean is all of 4 Audis are lined up with what will be an historic picture. 2 hybrids, 2 diesels, the R18 Ultras, and that will be a sight to behold coming across the finish line here at Lasath.
Certainly a tremendous performance. We talk about the resources that are involved for Audi, massive amounts of money, and they come here with 4 cars for the very first time from the factory organization, which is run by Jost, of course. One of the cars entered under Audi North America banner, and they do it with 2 different technologies, and they really covered all of their bases this year, Dorsey. And they expected a challenge from Toyota. I think kind of how the race laid out is probably what they expected, the Toyotas to be a factor early and then have problems.
Yeah, but so did Audi when you think about it. I mean, they're going to get what they were looking for here, but not without a cost to be paid. I mean, that 2 crashed cars, and that shows you how quickly it can all go away, even when you think you have it in hand.
We've been talking a lot about LMP1, LMP2. How about GTE-AM, Greg? It's looking good for Labra competition.
It is, although they're loath to sort of admit that. You're looking at the 2 drivers. In the foreground is Bornhauser, and in the back is Julien Canal. And when the pass happened, when Lamy went to the front, the team erupted and everything, and a couple of people turned to congratulate Julien, and he just kind of waved him off and said, "We're not done yet, we're not done yet." But it's sort of like the duck on the water. You see everybody standing there nice and calm, but if you look from about waist down, knees are twitching. They are anxious about this. This is perhaps the bright spot for the bow tie here this weekend, and they're just praying they hang on.
Well, this is Europe's equivalent to Doug Feehan's boys. This is the European equivalent of Corvette racing. They purchase the old Corvette race cars from the American Le Mans series, and they campaign them very well here in Europe. And for 2 of those 3 drivers, for Julien Canal and Patrick Bornhauser, they're going for back-to-back wins in the newly created GTE-AM class. Gabriel Gardel was the 3rd driver in that team last year. This year, it's Pedro Lamy.
And he's a great replacement because he is really, really quick. Was mistake-free here today, and he was the guy they trusted to put in for that final stint, keep in for the final stint, and grab the lead from the Porsche. But they've been here before. They know it's not over, even with just over 8 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, can you hold your breath for 8 minutes? I mean, some of these guys are doing exactly that, trying to run this clock out. It's been a long 24-hour race for most of these guys.
Here they come. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 Audis. What a dramatic contrast to a year ago where 3 Audis came to Lasath, 2 were destroyed, and only 1 finished. But that remaining car finished in the best possible position. Here, all 4. The regular diesels, the R18 Ultras, and the 2 hybrid diesels, all 4 still running strong, all 4 in the top 5 positions.
The pace between the hybrid and the Ultra, though, has been somewhat similar. Loic Duval looks like he's going to hang on to the fastest lap of this race. And the cars were within a couple of tenths of one another, so expect that hybrid to be further developed. I think it's actually better suited with their technology, running the front axle drive to a slightly shorter track configuration with the straights are not so long. I think it creates a lot of drag and friction down the second half of these straightaways and detracts from their ultimate lap time.
And out of the garage comes the Pescarolo Dome. It will rejoin the racetrack to get the photo shoot.
There's some landmark years here at Le Sarthe. Remember, this is the 80th running of the world's greatest sports car endurance race. In 1953, it was the first appearance of disc brakes and the first victory for the C-Type Jag. Fast forward a decade to 63, halogen headlamps on a Porsche and Ford for the first time. Fast forward almost another decade. Big leaps in time here. In 74, experiments with turbocharged engines on a Porsche. Go forward more than that, a massive leap to 1991, the first victory of a rotary engine car with Mazda. Then go forward a massive leap in time to 2006, and this is where things compress in the rapid result of technology. 2006, the first victory of a diesel engine car with Audi. Only 3 years, victory of an HDI FAP special diesel engine with Peugeot, and now here we are in 2012, only another 3 years down the time track for the first victory with a hybrid powered car. Technology is moving at a very rapid rate.
It is now. It's going to such a rate that it's getting hard to explain with the hybrid systems, and of course these are still on the very ground level of development. We're going to see in the next 10 years, boys, a whole change in motor racing, no doubt.
I wonder if one of these photo finishes has ever gone wrong. They got in second place. Robbie Gordon did the gravel trap.
Yeah, it has, actually.
Sebastian Bourdais, Nick Minassian. They know what it's like to drive for the big factory teams.
Got to be careful out here now, because some of these cars coming out of the garages are wounded like this one. The Dome is going to get out there and make those final laps, but not at speed.
And we talk a lot about the spirit of Le Mans, Cal. This is the spirit of Le Mans, simply finishing, seeing your car, your team take that checkered flag.
Ooh. Right there you can see he's trying to get out of the way, and it could be misinterpreted. There is the face of Alan McNish. What is going through his head right now? He was charging hard. He had the lead of this race, and now he sits in the pack there in the Audi garage, Jamie.
I've been pleading with Alan to come and talk to us, but he's very emotional. You can see it on his face. He's completely gutted. Team keeps coming over, patting him on the shoulder, saying, "You did a good job, buddy." He does not feel that way right now as he watches on with his car not taking the checkered flag.
We've said it before, when you're a single-seater racer and you make a mistake, it's all on your shoulders in terms of the disappointment for you and the team, but no other co-drivers. In sports car racing, that is the big, big difference. When it goes wrong, you have teammates, Dorsey.
Yeah, and the consequences are extreme when you look at who your teammates were for Alan McNish. And you could tell by his face just then.
Well, Dorse, they're more than dramas for the IMSA performance car. Second place in GTE AM. This is the car that was setting the pace with Nicholas Almindo.
They have a good margin, though, over their third runner, Tracy Krone, right now. Some 5 laps in hand, so he's just got to be safe here and get it back. Time is running out, only another lap or 2 to go. Should still hang on to that second position.
Talk about bad luck.
And we have received notification from the ACO, the Automobile Club de l'Ouest, that there will be no victory lap per se following the checkered flag. The cars will come up to the end of pit out and make an immediate right-hand turn to bring the winning trio and the winning car down pit road for Brian and Jamie and Greg and Andrew and Justin to grab those victorious and those not. And we'll bring you that half-hour post-race show live here on Speed to complete our 25 hours of coverage. That was taking the turn at Arnage, so it was certainly on the right half of the course. Less than 3 minutes to run here at Circuit de la Sarthe.
Matmut garage there. 67 on the cheeks of a lot of their supporters, and they'll be wishing that they can get that car safely to the finish line.
definitely.
Sound of that Corvette engine is so evident on these long endurance races, Dorsey. We've competed against them, and Scott Pruett's obviously raced for them and won here at Le Mans, and there's nothing like the sound of that thundering V8 engine.
Fans absolutely love it. At night when you're partying around here, and that's what they do, you know what's coming when it's coming down the straightaway. Great helicopter shots and these ultra slow-mos that we've enjoyed.
Saw pictures there of Dr. Ulrich almost emotional here with the final lap now underway, and the resources and the commitment that he has at his disposal.
Boy, and we don't even know what the resources.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, it's massive for sure.
But he keeps executing, and the dynasty continues. They came into this race, the intensity of win matched Porsches of 10 wins in 12 years. They'll increase that intensity to 11 in 13 here today.
Think about the guys, the family members, the brothers, guys like Marco Werner, Emanuele Pirro, Frank Biela. They're all watching on somewhere, whether they're at the track or whether they're at their respective homes. When you have been a part of this Audi era, it's almost Michael Schumacher-esque in Formula One. They set the benchmark, they make the benchmark, and they execute when they have to.
It's all family. You can bet on that. They're like brothers, like you say.
10 victories in 12 years is about to become 11 in 13. And there's the man who spearheads the effort, Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich, the head of Audi Sport, and Ralf Juttner, the technical director. They keep their key personnel, and that's one of their secrets to success. 1 year ago, these guys were the lesser-known trio surrounded by superstars. They were not Le Mans winners. Andre Lotterer, Benoit Trellier, and Marcel Fassler. Now they are going to join that very special and exclusive club. They will become only the 7th driving combination trio to have back-to-back overall victories in the 24 hours of Le Mans.
And this thing wasn't a done deal for Alan McNish. Yes, there was the mistake there, the incident, the damage, the fix to the car to lose a lap, but I tell you what, Lotterer was going to be awfully tough to beat. It looked like the two car had an advantage in fuel and the cycling through the pit stops, but Lotterer has been a demon here today.
I agree totally with you, Calvin. From the beginning of the green flag, Lotterer was able to outrun anybody and everybody in this field.
Receiving the acknowledgement and adulation from this packed house and the marshals who have done an outstanding job. The flag waving ceremony and procedure, as per usual every year here at Les Arts. And the final couple of turns to see that checkered flag, Andre Lotterer. There'll be tears in his eyes already, as there were 12 months ago. The checkered flag is poised. Audi has created 3 new sports car superstars, and Audi once again has created Le Mans history, the first victory for a hybrid car at Le Mans. Audi has done it again.
From race control to the pit lane, gentlemen, thank you very much. See you in Silverstone.
Got a bit worried for the checkered flag man there.
Yeah. Now you can breathe again, too.
What a performance.
For those
brilliant stuff. And look at this. What a day for Peter Barron's led Star Works operation. They won on debut at Sebring. They finished on the podium in the Rolex race at Daytona. And now on their debut at Le Mans.
We were singing the praises of Corvette racing, Doug Feehan and his guys a year ago. Now it's a much smaller team and smaller operation in LMP2. The 44 HPD Honda for Star Works. Tom Kimber-Smith is going to become a 3-time winner. Ryan Dial, a first-time winner. And Enzo Potolicchio on debut. will go to victory lane and stand on top of the podium at Circuit de la Sarthe.
They did it with execution, guys. They really did. They didn't have the best of everything, but they got the best result.
And here is your GTE Pro winning car. This trio finished second last year with AF Corsa. They're going to be victorious. And I wonder what Giancarlo Fisichella will say. How does this compare to his 3 Formula One Grand Prix victories? Speaking of Formula One, Bob Varsha joins us again, along with David Hobbs and Scott Pruitt. All the boys are in the booth now. There's the Starworks 44. What a day for Audi. What a day for the American Starworks team. And also Giancarlo Fisichella, AF Corsa. And that Labra competition car, the Corvette, consolidates its victory in GTE AM as well.
Well, especially the AF Corsa car, considering it was wadded up into a small ball on Wednesday afternoon in the very first practice session.
It just never fails to amaze. Every single year, you can count on something happening at Le Mans that just seems so improbable, or in the case of these boys from Audi, so likely. When asked to pick a possible winner at the beginning of the show, I said I think Audi will complete the slam, put a hybrid car on pole and put a hybrid car in victory lane, because they know how to do it.
Celebrations in LMP2. Here's Andrew Marriott.
Yeah, I'm with Tom here, and Tom, you've done it again. Congratulations. How do you feel?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. You know, 3 times.
Well, Enzo's done it for Venezuela. Enzo's got tears in his eyes, look. And Peter Barron's here as well. Peter hugs Nick Wirth. And what a fantastic day, Peter. Your debut at Le Mans, you won.
No, it's hard not to cry. You know, it's unbelievable. You know, you can come here for years and never have it happen. Thanks to everybody, my family that supported me along the whole way. Enzo for helping us put this possible, and it's just awesome. I can't believe it.
You'll be back next year. Lots of fun down here at the 44 car then.
Great work, Andrew, and it's a struggle because the ACO officials are trying to get them down to the podium for the celebrations. And there's Alan McNish. What could have been? He knows both sides of the coin, what it feels like to be victorious. Let's join Brian Till. I think Brian's having a few audio issues there. Sorry, Brian. We've lost communication with you, mate. And no doubt that will be a meaningful chat with Alan as well.
Very meaningful, I should think.
And look at that.
And of course, these 3 guys here, I hope when they go to bed tonight, they look up there and say a little prayer for that incredible spin and getting away with absolutely nothing in the Porsche curves of all places.
Go, Brian.
We'll try this again, walking along with Alan McNish. And we talked earlier, Alan, and said, I know that you're gutted. I know that you're happy for Audi, but disappointed for the team. Can you even put into words that the final hour on the racetrack?
In terms of the team, as you say, it's a fantastic 1, 2, 3, 4. Especially with the e-tron Quattro, you know, the new technology from our point of view with our car. We fought like hell for this one. And it slipped away right at the last minute when we were right in the mix of the battle. Sadly, that's Le Mans.
This is what can't be only when they win, but when they struggle as well. Alan McNish.
This is Le Mans. The words from the man who may have seen his, or who did see, perhaps his 3rd victory slip away. But let's celebrate, let's focus on the positive. This successful trio of Lotterer, Fessler and Trellier do it. Back-to-back victories, and they win number 1 in car number 1. We'll hear from him when we come back. Speed is your home for live sports car action, and it continues next weekend at the legendary Road America Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series rolls on, and again, you can see it live at 12 noon Eastern next Saturday. It's a Saturday race, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But right here, right now, it's all about celebration. It's all about 2-time back-to-back victors at Le Mans. in this 24-hour classic, and Justin Bell is standing by with one of those successful trio. Andre Lotterer taking it to the checkered flag for the second year in a row.
Andre Lotterer, what an amazing thing. Last year we stood here, saw you come in here, incredibly emotional and unexpected last year, but probably the same this year, correct?
Yeah, I hope you guys saw it from the TV, because it was as tough race as last year, because Audi Sport was great. They let us fight, and it was like on the edge the whole time. Like the first thing was a bit, okay, find your rhythm, but the rest was just flat out the whole time. And we had some trouble, so I had to create a gap again at night, managed to do that, and then we had some trouble again. And fortunately, in the end, we were a bit more lucky than the number 2 car. But it was a great fight, and it was pure racing.
You join a very small group of drivers as combinations that have won 2 races in a row, which is an amazing achievement for you at your age, and your teammates were extraordinary.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really happy with Ben and Marcel, and we're great friends as well. And it's an honor to join these guys that won it twice, and I hope I can win it more times, of course. But you know, Le Mans is a great challenge, and this year was good. But you know, future you have to keep working hard.
Fabulous. Thank you very much.
There you go. Great to hear the words from one of the victors, and appreciates the history here at Le Mans at his young age to be a back-to-back victor. We're far from done. Podium celebrations to come. Stay with us.
Back live at Le Mans, and now it's time for the spectators to have their turn on the Circuit de la Sarthe. And they flood the track below the podium for one of the most impressive ceremonies in all of sports. And this one will be firmly imprinted with the unmistakable 4 rings of Audi. I guess the human element in athletic competition is a little bit of a cliche, perhaps, but at the bottom of every cliche, you'll find a kernel of truth. And it's always a special moment when you could stand there and see so much hard work and so much focus and so much talent brought together and organized to achieve a goal. What a moment for Audi.
Elation for the victors there. Everyone wants to be up on that podium, but for Dindo Capello, what are his thoughts right now as he looks down maybe for the last time on the overall victory podium? And particularly for our man Alan McNish, he has to be absolutely gutted right now.
Capello doesn't look too ecstatic about it, I don't suppose, for a minute. Thinking just but for a moment's pause, I'd be on that top step for the 4th time in his case, which would be a tremendous way to sign off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, even being up there is a tremendous way to be signed off, you know. Looking back at it, he's had a heck of a career.
There's only one, isn't there? There's only one Le Mans. There's only one scene like that. And that's why it is so desirable to stand, just to be one of those 3 combinations, but to stand on that highest step of the podium.
And this creates a unique situation. Audi came here to dislodge the status quo and put their imprint on this race, as the big names like Ferrari and Jaguar and Bentley and Porsche had done before them. And someone will come just to beat Audi at Le Mans, and someone will eventually do it. When you consider all of the investment, both financial, logistical, and human, to create a moment like this. Toyota has resources, but they're not on that podium. Corvette, they know what it's like to stand there, but this year it was not there for them. And spare a thought for Anthony Davidson in his hotel room here in France, no doubt watching this on television.
Well, I think anybody that's watched the program, or as much as they could stay awake to watch, it gives you an idea of why this is such an outstanding physical, sporting and technical event. It is just unbelievable. 24 hours around the clock. It's done in Daytona, but there's something about Le Mans, the 8.5-mile circuit, the variation of curves, the challenges that the night throws up here. It is an outstanding event to win, and almost, you know, basically almost impossible. And to win it twice in a row, or 8 times in the case of Tom Christensen, is absolutely almost unbelievable.
Rolex watches to the winners. Nothing like being on top of the podium. When we were there in 2001 with Corvette, it's just awe. I mean, there's so many people and so much excitement and so much energy. And to get to the end of the 24 and to get on top of the podium, I don't care if it's first overall or first in class, it's something shared between your team of drivers and the team that brought you there. It's just incredible.
As Andre Lauder has said, it was pure racing. Audi Sport allowed those guys to go hard at it, and we saw the consequences. Some win and some lose.
We saw a number of consequences. The 3-car in the barrier a couple of times, the 1-car in the barrier a couple of times, and of course the 2-car also joining in the barrier. And but those resources they bring with them enable them to do such massively quick and amazing turnarounds.
Looks like the number 2 car may have won the Michelin Green X Challenge here today in terms of efficiency with their new hybrid power.
It's really all about rewriting the history book, isn't it? History was made here today. The hybrid.
This is the part I love, where words don't really do it justice, where you can just pause and listen. The atmosphere is so infectious. It's incredible how the number 1 car dominated right from the start, taking the lead right to the finish. Checkered flag first.
Right from the start of qualifying as well, Sky just seemed to have the pace. They unloaded. The car was on rails, as the drivers described it. And that's what you want, a car that's stable. It gives you confidence for 24 hours.
Let's put things into perspective, guys. In the history of Le Mans, this was the 80th running. In the history of Le Mans, it just rolls off their tongue. They talk about Porsche and Ferrari. Audi now has 2 more victories overall than Ferrari, and they are within 5 of Porsche's record. It's not inconceivable to see Audi become the greatest winning manufacturer at Le Mans. They've got the greatest winning driver. They could be the best manufacturer ever at Le Mans.
Tom Christensen's won 10% of the 80 events.
Yeah.
How about that for us?
50% of the races that he's competed in, 8 out of 16 now, is a lot higher percentage. Of course, he's now only won once in the last 7. He went on a tear there for a while, 6 in a row.
The champagne flows.
Wow, Lauder at 30 years old can see that goal as a distinct possibility at only 30 years old. Tom's now 44.
This is part of the Audi magic. I can remember it was only 3 years ago where they said, where did Audi come up with this combination of Fessler, Trillier and Lotterer? Where did they come up with that? People were asking. This is an odd combination. They're not saying that anymore. They're 2-time winners, back to back.
Well, there's great chemistry within the group. They said it. They're friends. Benoit and Andre know each other very, very well. In fact, Andre was instrumental in getting Ben on the squad, and Marcel's a great fit as well.
Well, that's what the great dynasties do, isn't it? They plan for the future. We heard Doug Vienne say that they chose Jordan Taylor for the team because they see something in the young American driver. And that's part of the fun. I can't wait for next year's 24 hours just to see what someone comes up with to change the status quo and write their names on the Roll of Honor at Le Mans. Another break coming up as the minutes tick away toward the end of our speed coverage of the greatest race in the world, Le Mans. We'll be right back.
How long will this afterglow last? I would say quite some time, maybe even 12 months for these guys victorious for the second consecutive year. And Audi has done it for the very first time with their new e-tron R18 Quattro, the hybrid technology, Bob.
And certainly the Rebellion Racing team will take some solace in being the top privateer, the top gasoline-powered car. First in class, you might say. Well done to them.
Yeah, very well done indeed. They had a very good run, very smooth, very straightforward.
Certainly lots to think about. What about the elation for the Starworks team as we look at the unofficial results in P2? A brilliant job by the Peter Barron-led crew.
Great
Thomas
story.
Kimber-Smith, third-class victory here. Ryan Niel gets his first, and Enzo Potolicchio. Brilliant job, guys.
Great show. I mean, winning Sebring and now Le Mans on their maiden voyage.
The LMGT Pro unofficial results there. Alpha Corse Ferrari, terrific job from Fisichella and his crew. Don't forget that Fisichella had a big shunt on Wednesday and had to rebuild that car with new parts from Italy. There you see the next Ferrari down there.
And celebration in GTEM because we congratulate Labra Competition. Bornhauser and Canal win it for the second year in a row. Lamy grabs his GTEM maiden victory, but we've got an American team on the podium. Krone Racing with Tracy, Nick and Michele Rugolo standing on the podium for the third time in a row. Greg Creamer for that, or not in a row, third time.
Well, a fantastic accomplishment to be sure. And, you know, one of the things that amazes me, having done this in the booth and also now in pit lane, down in the pit lane, you realize even more what a team sport this is. You see what that 51 team did to rebuild that Ferrari. You see what these teams endure through the course of the night, the 74 Corvette. Unbelievable what these teams have to deal with to get these drivers to the finish line, Brian.
Well, I mean, just look at Audi and what Audi did to get all four of their cars to the finish line. They had problems. The one was not without issues. Marcel Fassler had his issue. The team threw it in the garage. A minute and 20 seconds later, they had changed all the rear bodywork and got him right back out. It is definitely a team sport.
It is, and of course, there's a team that we work with as well. We've got 3 other pit announcers who've been up and working hard all night. Let's check in with them.
Well, for me, everybody, this Le Mans 24 Hours is definitely about teamwork. You know, as the driver, you're the sharp end of it. You get the glamour and the glory. But whether by mistake or misfortune, there's an amazing group of people that support you whether you do right or wrong, and that's what Le Mans is all about to me.
I think this year proved that there's a new generation of driver coming on board. Audi has shown it with the drivers in their #1 car. The gauntlet has been passed, and I think we can all expect some great things from that trio in the years to come.
When the second Toyota went out and the Delta Wing was out, I thought, we're going to be struggling for stories. You must never think that a lot more. There are so many twists and turns of this race. It's just the greatest event. And of course, it's got better technology than Formula One. Lee.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you to all 5 of our pit reporters for an incredible job. Scott Pruitt, we're going to start with you, mate. Final thoughts on this incredible event.
It was great for Audi. Happy Father's Day to my dad out there, as well as all the other fathers out there. What a great day. It was exciting to see the fight between Audi and Toyota. They put up a lot bigger fight than I expected. Obviously, they didn't have the reliability, but it's coming. It's going to be exciting to see.
Dors?
It's amazing to me that over a 24-hour period high of time, you can have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows at the very same time. And that's maybe why National Geographic calls this the greatest sporting event in the world.
David?
Well, another absolutely incredible race by Audi and everybody in the race, but nobody will be thanking God more for the construction of the modern racing car than Anthony Davidson, who's waking up today and twittering with fractured vertebrae, but 10 years ago he'd have been, unfortunately, not doing any twittering today.
Cal?
Brilliant execution by Audi. We expect that. Toyota made their presence felt here today. They'll be back next year, and they'll be strong. I look for a big battle.
Bob?
Well, not to take the focus away from the man in the arena, in Teddy Roosevelt's famous phrase, but I'll echo Justin Bell. We announcers are often the stars of the show, but there's an awful lot of people in the team backing us up as well. It's a huge logistical challenge to bring Le Mans to the American viewing audience, and I'm proud to be a part of the group that can do it.
Remember this day, for me, part of automotive history, part of motorsport history. A hybrid-powered car wins at Circuit de la Sarthe for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The largest automotive manufacturer in the world, Toyota, is back in sports car racing, and it wasn't just a one-off. We will see them back next year, but they've got a lot of work to do to beat the best in the business. We are very lucky to live through this Audi era. What a day at Le Mans. What a day for sports cars on speed. We hope you've enjoyed all 25 hours. On behalf of the entire Speed crew, thanks for being with us.